Why I love this podcast is because it's one thing to experience culture, but it's another thing to archive it. We need the stories to be told.
Our priorities say a lot about where our headspace is at.
I really think it's about relationships.
The only thing stopping anybody from getting what they want is themselves. You just don't want it bad enough.
Yo, what up, y'all? My name is Jared Jackson. I'm here on Creative Ambiance with Levi, and I hope you guys enjoy this. Peace.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Creative Ambiance. I'm joined today by a DJ and producer by the name of Jared Jackson, who is also an educator,
Yes, sir.
believe it or not, which I definitely want to get into. But first off, how you doing today, Jared?
I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me out here. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good too, bro. Thanks for
It's
asking.
been a long time coming.
It has. We've been trying to make this happen for a cool minute.
That's on me, man. I apologize.
No, it's well worth the wait, and I've been excited to make the conversation happen because I feel like you are someone who is highly respected by the DJ community and also, true beat heads. I've been around, quite a few different DJs and interviewed many different types of DJs,
Word.
and I feel like the true DJs who care about, the craft and the art have a deep level of respect for you. So why do you think that is?
Because I guess I would say, without trying to sound like I'm all that, but that is what I'm into. I've had that mentioned to me before, and it kind of made me take a step back and be like, oh, that is cool.
Yeah.
I don't have the most followers or anything like that, or I'm not super popping, but I'm blessed because all of the people that I kind of grew up watching DJ and who I studied, they've all kind of become my friends and more than just my mentors, especially people such as the Beat Junkies.
Yeah.
I can call them, as I was a 15-year-old kid, like rewinding VHS tapes, and now I can just call them, it's like amazing. Right. And,
Yeah.
They've many times inspired me and put a battery in my back to keep going, so yeah, I guess it's just being a student of the craft. You just kind of respect other students
Yeah.
of the craft,
Yeah.
and that's what I'm very passionate about.
And it sounds like that is very important to you, like the craft and the art of DJing. And I think you have a quote on your link tree that says something to the effect of the true, something about like the true brand aesthetic is the craft.
The dedication to the craft is the brand aesthetic.
Yes.
That's what I like the craft. I'm inspired by other people that are nerds about what they do.
Yeah.
I'm very about that. Like no matter what the hobby is or the passion is, whether it's DJing or cycling or anything that I'm into, like I really respect and kind of gravitate people where I'm like, yo, this guy is, or this guy or girl is really tapped in and locked in with like the craft of it, the process of getting better.
Is that just the type of person you are? Like no matter what you pick up, you're just going to go all in? Or
If you asked all of my close friends and family, they will tell you that if I get into a hobby, I'm 120% until I get kind of worn out with it.
Ah, okay.
And then I cycle the hobbies around. So I have like quite a few hobbies that I'm into, and I will go super hard on them. Like,
Interesting.
and I like, not to like toot my own horn, but do them at a proficient level. And I feel that came from
I was going to
growing
ask you
up,
where that stems from.
my parents,
Okay.
but also primarily skateboarding.
Skateboarding.
As a kid.
Really?
Yeah, so as a child growing up, when we were still living in Los Angeles, I fell in love with skateboarding. And also between skateboarding and BMX, but primarily skateboarding, because I feel like that's one of the best activities for a child to undertake as a child, because it's constant failure until you land the trick.
Yeah.
And that led to me being able to relate that concept to when I first got my turntables and learning like a first scratch or a beat juggle. You got to practice that over and over and over. It's like, the Marshawn Lynch, where he's like over and over. Most people are not going to be able to take that over and over. Like that video from him. It's, and then when you finally land it, it's like, oh, you got it.
That's crazy.
But can I do it again? Nah, I don't got it yet. So that constant process of trying something until you figure it out.
It's almost like you were subliminally training for this other part of your life that you have for
training
DJing.
for life.
Yeah,
training for life. Like, and I approach everything with that, whether it's road cycling or mountain biking or whatever I'm into. I've dabbled in competitive powerlifting before, Olympic weightlifting, and I'll compete and like, okay, I got a feel for what it's like to compete at this level or whatever, and then I'll move on to something else. But I mainly like cycle like 4 or 5 hobbies in and out of my life.
It's interesting to hear how that part of your brain works. And also I think it's cool to hear the DJing or the skateboarding side of things, because I feel like there's a lot of parallels with like the culture in terms of being like underground in some senses
and in
back
terms,
then.
yeah, just like skate culture is about the craft, and also just skate culture was very I guess akin to DJ culture to me, because it was very like anti-poser.
Yeah,
Like
authenticity.
straight up, you know, like if you were not nice on the board, I was like, okay, like you can't run your mouth if you're not nice on the board. Or I kind of feel like that was my upbringing in the DJ world too, you know. I got my first turntables it was 95 or 96. I think I had put together like a really, really like terrible setup. They weren't even turntables. This sounds super cliche, but, and I've told this story before with Andres on Selection Radio. I went to like a yard sale and I found a record player for like $5. My dad had this old Radio Shack realistic mixer. I'm dating myself for the store Radio Shack, electronic store.
Yeah. Is that out of business now?
I think they're out of business. They may have like an online front, but I know they closed all the storefronts like maybe a decade ago, I think.
Okay.
And then I went to my mother's. My mother's a teacher. Well, she was in education. She's retired now, but she was always into sewing, still sews dolls and stuff. So she always had fabric. So I went into her closet and asked her for some felt, because, you know, I'm a broke kid. I'm like 15, and, you know, at the time I'm like, I need some slip mats to allow the record to still slide while I'm scratching or whatever. And I just traced a 12-inch record, cut it out, poked a hole in the center, and I had slip mats.
Oh wow, you made them yourself? Yeah,
I made them myself. And yeah, that was like my first kind of introduction into DJing. But going back to that, it was like that goes back into being a nerd about the craft or what I was getting into.
Mm-hmm.
And gratefully, you know, my dad is probably like first generation hip hop head. Like I grew up with my dad listening to Gangstar, Boogie Down Productions, all that classic stuff. So I think he saw like, oh, he's serious about it. So after a while it became, all right, you know, hey, you save up this much, I'll match you for your first 1,200.
Oh,
1,200, you know. So they've always been super supportive of my hobbies, my parents. So
your dad had a lot of musical influences on your tastes.
Definitely. And my mother too, because, you know, they were born in 59, so they're in their mid 60s now.
Okay.
But they had me when they were like 22, 23.
Wow, they're young.
So they were young.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, you know, my dad was only, when I was 10 years old, my dad's only like 32, 33. You know?
Oh shit.
So it's like he's still listening. Yeah, he's still hip. You know, I can send stuff to my dad and he gets it, you know what I mean? Or send him like, oh, have you heard this album? You know, he's a huge Kendrick fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, huge, definitely. So he still understands it. And my mom, not so much of a hip hop influence, but my mom still actively goes out and dances. She does like Chicago stepping dances and salsa dancing, and a lot of the records when I was first starting to learn how to make beats, you know, I was spoiled. I didn't have to go out to different record stores and dig, because my parents had their record collection. So I would just go through my parents' vinyl records. So, you know, I still have a ton of my mom's records, because the thing to do like in the 70s and 80s was, you know, they would, you know, trade records with friends and stuff like that. They would have their little name on there. So I have a bunch of my mom's vinyl that has like, you know, her name, you know, Lisa on there or whatever. Yeah. So a lot of musical influence definitely did come from family. But my dad was super involved with hip hop early on at this place called The Good Life. It was like a health food store that later turned into Project Blowed. So LA hip hop heads know what I'm talking about.
Oh shit.
He's super involved. Yeah. So that's just the lineage I come from. So it's no accident that, you know, I got into what I'm into.
What sparks your interest in even getting your turntables in the beginning? Like, what made you even want to do it?
There was a couple of reasons for that. So I mean, how much time we got? Because that's like 3 reasons. So my dad early on, like I said, he was involved with hip hop. He had a friend. My dad was pretty much in a rap group.
Oh, so, he was.
Yeah. So they had a producer. He was he produced. He had a DJ, rest in peace, DJ Top Dollar, Lawrence. He was killed, but I would when we were still living in Los Angeles, I would see you know, my dad get together with all his homies, and they would just be making beats and recording and stuff like that. So, and at the time, I didn't want to be involved in it yet. I would still go outside and ride my skateboard or ride my bike or whatever. I'm like 9 years old, but I was always kind of like attracted to just hearing Lawrence scratch the hooks and stuff, you know, the records. Like, yo, I want to do that. And I would, you know, when they would all be out, you know, outside drinking a beer or something, I would go like, look at the decks and like, yo, this is fire. I want to do this. Like, not even so much the beat making equipment, like the samplers, the drum machines. It was something about the turntables.
It's interesting because in situations like that, it seems like it has to almost be like divinity or by chance, because like things are around you, versus today, like you just go on social media
and it's all in your face.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was in my face when there was really like internet was in its infancy, like maybe not even popping yet.
Yeah,
that was very early 90s when I saw that, you know, for the first time, and that made me want to do it. But there's a specific track from Gangstar. Like I said, my dad grew up playing Gangstar, and there's a track called Who's Gonna Take the Weight, where DJ Premier is scratching up a sound on there, and I was like, yo, this guy's, I know this is a turntable, but he's using it as an instrument.
Oh yeah.
And you know, just listening to Gangstar growing up, and the way that Premier would cut up, almost he's almost like a, I don't even know what the word is, man, but his knowledge of hip hop lyrics and punchlines from other rappers, and then taking this line from this track, taking this line from this track, and making this like very like hard hitting chorus that's super raw and aggressive with the cuts. I was very, very like stuck on that. I think Premier is one of like the greatest to do it because of that. That was one reason. So that's two reasons. And then once I got into high school, I met some cats that had turntables in high school.
Okay.
And now I had access to homies that had them. Then it was game over.
Your own little
like,
community.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then after that, it was like, no, I'm locked in.
That's crazy.
And I had, you know, VHS tapes of, you know, ITF battles, DMC battles, watching people battle. So we get into it later. I know you probably want to talk about it, you know, like my views on DJ content, and things like that. I have a whole different mindset of what is dope to me. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of like a gift and a curse, because the stuff I saw in its infancy, when all you had was just two turntables and a mixer, and I know how people are out there thinking I'm sounding like an old head, but it just, yeah, it was just, that was the raw. And in my opinion, in terms of like the artistry, it still hasn't improved on that.
Yeah, it's lost upon today's world, right?
Yeah, I know that. I feel like there's a lot of people that are really dope in the modern era that are still pushing the craft. Don't get me wrong, but I just mean in a bigger sense.
Well, we could get into it. Yeah. Like, how do you think DJ culture has changed over, I don't know, the years and the state that we're in today's world? I know it's a very broad question, but curious what your thoughts are initially off of it.
Oh man. Well, how can I frame this and not get hated? I think that for the most part, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of people doing dope, amazing things right now using the technology, but I also feel that DJing is one of these crafts where you can kind of pop off and not be nice at what you do.
Yeah.
And I don't, and when you look at like a guitarist or a drummer or somebody, like if you can't do your job as a bass player or a guitarist, like it shows on stage.
Yeah.
I feel like DJing is this,
it's only one of the only mediums where
it's a medium where you can kind of front and you don't really know what you're doing.
Yeah. You put it very nicely. I feel like you could have put that in a very much more harsher way if you wanted to.
This is why I've held off on doing this podcast with you for so long, because I just feel like I know some of my views are going to be very polarizing or offensive to people, but that's my lens from what I saw and what I see now in the spotlight. It's just not that dope to me.
What's interesting is that perspective is refreshing in today's world, and it's interesting because that's the, like, as some might say, the old head perspective, but the true perspective is the refreshing perspective nowadays, where it used to be like, you know, the traditional and the norm, and anything outside of that is refreshing. But in this sense, it's like reversed.
Yeah,
like
I would consider myself also like a futurist. I love technology.
Okay.
I love nerding out on new things and new advancements in science and things like that. But I'm also just of the mindset of just because it's new doesn't mean it's dope.
Ooh.
Like,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of dope stuff, but just because something or somebody is new to it, that doesn't automatically put a stamp on them or that being what's hot to me. Like,
Yeah. And that's all subjective.
it's all subjective.
Yeah, to the person.
That's my disclaimer for, I know this is gonna get quoted and Jared Jackson's a hater. Hey, fine, whatever. But that's my opinion.
Yeah.
And hey, get it how you getting it. But if you're asking me to be honest about how I feel, that's how I feel about it. It's just, for example, you know, you watch somebody like, and I'll say this, it's a reason why I don't even like uploading a lot of content too, because I look at my peers who I think are dope and I'm like, damn, I'm trash. I'm not ready to post anything.
Oh, really?
Yeah, straight up. You know, where it's like, nah, like the people that I watch and look at on like DJ wise for content, I'm like, yo, I got work to do.
Oh, so it kind of serves as inspiration in some senses too.
It keeps me wanting to sharpen my skills, but it's also a double-edged sword because then it's like I'm not sharing enough because it kind of makes me feel like I'm, you know, we all know like you're never ever ready, right? So you just have to put it out there. But I definitely struggle with that because I'm like I'll record stuff all the time and I'm like, this is not dope. Like, let me just. It might be dope to somebody else. My bad. Sorry.
No, you're good.
It might be dope to somebody else, but I'm just like, it's kind of mid to me, so I'm not gonna upload it. I don't want my name attached to that.
I feel like a lot of producers struggle with that, and I've heard of a lot of producers like best work stays in the archives because of that reason. They're your own worst judge, right?
Yeah, I sit on a ton of music because I'm like, yeah, it might be cool to somebody else, but like it's got to be right to me.
Yeah,
that's my personal diary.
I actually have a couple of questions.
Okay.
From Andres. I asked him to submit some questions that I could ask for you, and there's a couple others I want to ask, but since you're on the topic,
when did he send these things?
Today, actually, yeah.
Andres,
this is one.
Shout out to Andres, man. That's my brother. Like,
yeah, shout out.
That's my guy.
Amazing person, amazing human being.
Very, very like, yeah. I wouldn't be where I'm at without Andres as well and Joe as well, and yeah, man,
that's love.
They show mad love. Like,
yeah, absolutely. I think that a lot of people feel that way, and yeah, shout out to them, man. Like, such innovators pushing forward such like an innovative sound and always looking out for other people too. So
Andres, Joe, Dom, like they really look out for me. So
yeah, shouts out to the whole crew.
Gotta state that.
Yeah. And one of the questions he had, since you were talking about like unreleased music, he said, ask him if he's ever gonna release any Ja1 music or J1 music.
So, like,
is that your?
Yeah, like that was I definitely used to write rhymes and record, and Andres has heard quite a bit of it. And
is that the hip hop artist name?
Yeah, that's not. I used to go by. Well, I used to. Incriminating myself here, but I used to, and this is, I'm sure my students and parents of students are listening, but. Yeah, when I was in the graffiti.
Oh, so you were graffiti culture too. That makes sense. Lots of crossovers, skate, graffiti.
And I don't do that anymore, people. So trust me. But yeah, definitely was in the graph and writing culture as well too. And yeah, so I've written rhymes, recorded stuff, and done a lot of hip hop. Andres has always known me about releasing my hip hop stuff.
Is he?
Yeah. I sit on like a lot of hip hop. That's what I came from. I mean, in recent years. I don't like calling it a rebrand, but I just focus more on playing like house events or dance music events.
Yeah.
Rave events, because I was always in both worlds. Like I love the hip hop crowds, but I also love like
dance
underground dance music events, whether it was house, garage, drum and bass. Like I love that stuff too.
When it was first kind of popping off in the 90s.
Yeah, exactly. Because
it's changed a lot too, which is a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, it's changed a lot too. But I fell in love with that when I met those brothers that I said there was like actually two different sets of brothers in high school that had turntables, and at that time I was super deep into hip hop only. You couldn't tell me anything. It was hip hop or die, and I hadn't really. This is like '95. I hadn't really been exposed to a lot of underground dance music culture until I met them around like '95, and they started taking me in my first raves, and I was like,
"This is different.
This is raw." Like because it was raw, like hip hop. Because, and to get on the topic of dance music, I feel like a lot of black and brown folks have kind of moved away from it. Well, not now, but because of the internet's making it popping again. But for a while, it was kind of like shunned, like, nah, we're not on that. And I think that's because of what the mainstream presented as what dance music culture was. And a lot of people don't realize that music is from the hood too. So I actually experienced it. I remember my first time hearing something like Ronnie Size drum and bass, or jungle, or Shy Effects, like old ragged jungle. And I was just like, what is this? And then I learned out like, oh, this is made by like black folks in Britain. Like this is crazy. Cause I remember when I moved to the suburbs, it was like this weird identity crisis with some of the kids that had also moved from LA, or a lot of the kids hadn't even moved from LA like I did to the suburbs. So they had this weird identity of like, I don't know what it meant to be black out there. So they would hear me listening to drum and bass and house and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, why are you listening to white music? And I'm just like, what? Like, I was like, what are you talking about? This is Shy Effects. He's a brother. Like, wait, they had no idea. Or this is Ronnie Size. What are you talking about? But they didn't know that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
They just associated it with what the media.
Exactly. And going back to, we got to
we're going back to like how, which I wanted to talk about is how you originally fell in love with dance music.
Oh, apologies, bro. So yeah, going back, because it's I've been doing this for so long, I like go off on these tangents, but
no worries.
Yeah, going back to, that was how I got into the dance music, was those brothers that introduced me to, you know, the rave and the underground scene. And I remember thinking to myself like, damn, this is super raw. I love this. Like, I got to tap into this more. And that's when I also started to collect like drum and bass records, jungle records, house records, things like that on vinyl as well too, aside from just the hip hop I was collecting. And so always been into both worlds. And shout out to Craze, man. Like Craze is
DJ Craze.
Yeah, DJ Craze is probably one of the few OGs that I remember back then that, you know, he was winning DMC and ITF battles, and he's still nice with it. Like no one wants to battle him. You know what I mean? Nah, he's cold. And he was one of the first people I remember in like the 90s, like, oh, he's putting drum and bass in his like turntablist routine. Oh, this guy's into this. He's not just only a hip hop head. He's you know, he comes from this world too.
So he's blending.
Yeah, he blended early on, and that kind of like put a battery on my back. Like, yo, you can navigate both spaces.
Yeah,
you know, and you don't have to be stuck in one. But I mean, I feel like there's a ton of dope legendary hip hop producers that can navigate both spaces. You got people like DJ Spinna, Easy Mo B, who produced a bunch of stuff for, you know, Big E back in the day. Like he goes on IG Live and does these house mixes, all vinyl mixes.
Really?
Yeah, definitely. It's been dope to see, like, recently seeing like, I know Like from Pac Div just uploaded like a house project.
No way.
It's a lot of hip hop heads are in the house, bro, and I feel like more people need to know that, you know.
Yeah, because a lot of dope, and you're right, the influences come from like things like Chicago house.
Yeah, and a lot of people think it's just EDM, and that's a whole different. That's not the same. Like people's like, oh, are you an EDM artist? I'm like, well, it's electronic music, and it's meant for dancing, but don't call it EDM, because that's a whole different connotation.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if it's electronic dance music, I mean, so is hip hop then. Because
true,
if you want to use that, because it's made with samplers, drum machines, synths.
That's true.
People dance to it, and it's music. So that's why that EDM, that name, that means something different to me, and I don't want nothing with that.
That makes sense.
I don't like. Yeah, I'm a house head. I'm not into EDM. It's a different sound, and I know that's gonna ruffle some feathers, but I don't care.
No, I think it's a good perspective.
I don't care, you know. So
thank you for explaining that and diving into it, because like I said, I think a lot of people, you know, that may have just, if they're listening, because I feel like a lot of different types of DJs listen to this podcast, and there's some that are, you know, brand new to the craft, or some that may have been exposed to it since the COVID boom happened or what have you. Like they don't know the true origins of a lot of this stuff. So thank you for explaining a lot of this. And
that's how I got, you know, into it, was just high school. And high school was very formative for me in like understanding my position in the culture and what I liked. You know, that was high school, definitely.
Yeah.
You know, b-boying. I was a terrible b-boy, but
b-boying too.
Yeah. I mean, we were just all into it. Like being my little like crew of homies. Like some of us was MCs, you know. Some of us had turntables, and Some of us were into just graph, and so you just dabble
Naturally pick up off
yeah,
each other.
and it was funny because all those cats also kicked it with the skaters, so it was like this like I hate that term melting pot, but melting pot of everybody there.
It's an interesting time that probably won't happen again, unfortunately, right?
It will not,
That's
bro. Like you think of like movies. I don't know if you're familiar with the movie Kids.
No,
Came out in
not.
oh man, you watched that?
I gotta
movie.
watch
It's called
it.
Kids. Yeah,
Okay.
It's based in New York, and it's just like shows like growing up inner city life of kids who just grew up not only skateboarding but just getting into trouble, all type of stuff, and a lot of just dope hip hop. The soundtrack is for the heads, definitely, in that movie. So yeah, you got to check that out.
I'll check it out for
It's called
sure.
Kids. It came out in '95.
In 95.
Yeah, it's crazy watching that movie again. Like, damn, we were watching this. We were kids watching this movie. But yeah,
I gotta go reference it and hit you up and let
Yeah.
you know how it is. Actually, it segues nicely into this next question that came from Andres as well, which is what does it feel like getting back into producing hip hop? Because you opened up a new portal on the electronic side and has been able to run it along with events with your homies like Joe and getting booked for house events. So how does it feel getting back to hip hop after transitioning more to like the UKG and house?
I mean, I guess the transition is more just me sharing the stuff that I make. I never really stopped making hip hop.
Okay, fair enough.
I just wasn't sharing it or not posting it on IG clips or whatever. But I never really let the hip hop go at all.
Yeah.
But I definitely want to like tap in. Shout out to my boy Ashton. I send him stuff. Also, I discuss music a lot with Kai Sango.
Oh yeah.
So hopefully, I want to do some stuff with him this year on some hip hop stuff too. Like, I'm definitely still tapped in with hip hop, but to me, it's just you have your fluctuations. Sometimes I might mess with this, or to me, it's like food. I just don't like one type of food.
Yeah.
Also, too, I would say hip hop, man. I still listen to hip hop in the car, like not just as much as I do dance music. It's just hip hop events, like the hip hop that I listen to now. It's not really like for the club.
Yeah.
Like I just on the way here, I was bumping, the new. Well, I mean, I guess you could play some tracks like the new Larry June, Cardo Got Wings, and was it the what's the new one? No, my bad. The new one that they just did with Alchemist.
Alchemist,
Yeah, like I really like
project.
that. But what I was running back, the one from 2023, the Larry June and Cardo Got Wings project from like a couple years back. Like I was banging that in the car on the way over here. So
Yeah.
I love that kind of stuff. But I mean, I don't really know of any like events where I could play.
Yeah, that'll be
I just
receptive.
like a different. Yeah, exactly. Not receptive. There'll be heads in the crowd that understand what I'm playing, but I just feel like a lot of with the hip hop stuff these days, like it's kind of what people can sing along to, and I'm just kind of done with it. Like,
How about Kendrick? Have you been inspired by his?
oh, bro, don't get me started on him, man. Like, I'm so glad all of this happened.
Yeah.
So glad all of this happened because I had to keep my mouth shut for years about like other folks
Yeah.
because I just was like, nah.
And he's kind of putting on for that.
I'm saying it straight out here, bro. I've been a
Do it.
I've been a Kendrick fan since like 2009, 2010, like early on when you can go to a TDE show in LA for like $10.
The rigor mortis.
So, or before that.
Before that.
Kendrick Lamar EP, Overly Dedicated. One of my favorite tracks from him is Wanna Be Heard, bro. Like, and I think it's Black Milk production. But yeah, it's just to see him do it at the level he's at, but maintain the culture. Like, bro, I will say this, and people can come at me for it. I don't care. I feel like he's the greatest MC of our generation.
I agree.
Like,
yeah, I don't think that's a wild statement to make at all.
And he, his range of projects is so amazing. Just from To Pimp a Butterfly to Good Kid, Mad City to even Section 80, which people don't. They say it's not an album, but I'm like, what? That's an album. That's an album.
100%.
What are you talking about? But that guy's like a visionary and an artist, bro. So full 110% Kendrick fan over here. But yeah, I'm
love to hear
definitely, so yeah, hip hop is always gonna be a part of me, man. But
yeah,
definitely. But I'm talking about like the Kendrick tracks I like may not the ones I would want to play, like they probably wouldn't go off in the club, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
you think it's because they're more how do you say, like rich in some ways. Like they're not as sing along as you were kind of mentioning before.
I love listening to his lyrics. He makes you think, or just like, damn, how did he come up with
Deciphering.
that. Yeah, exactly. And that may not be something that people want to do in the club, and I get it, but that's the kind of hip hop that I want to listen to. And I realize I'm contradicting myself because, like I said, I'm really messing with like a lot of the stuff that like Larry's doing lately, because he talks about getting to the paper and but I also like how he talks about investments, and he also talks about not waking up and being a fiend, popping perks and stuff, but actually
Drinking green smoothies.
Get a smoothie, go ride your bike, like
Get some
I
vitamin D.
ride a S-Works tarmac, and like one of his last projects that he did that's produced by Jake One, I think it's called Treasure Island. On the cover, he's got his S-Works bike on the top of the roof, and I'm like, that's the wealth right there. Like health is wealth, So I'm like, I like that.
You could get behind that.
Yeah, you definitely, or just it's that gym motivation music. I just like that stuff. There's some stuff that I listen to, and it might be, the content might not be super super deep, but it just like puts a battery in your pack. Like, all right, let me get this next set. Stuff like that. There's music for different purposes, which is why I don't hate on the fact that people want to go hear like the sing along stuff in the club. I get it. There's
Time and place.
Yeah, it's time and place. I just don't want to play that stuff anymore.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's
because
fair.
I've already done that. Like I feel like that is my gripe with, I guess, hip hop in the club is you have to kind of play what people know. And this gets into why I've also been very, very into the dance scene, is because I feel like with the underground dance scene, like the underground rave culture, people still go to the club to hear what they maybe don't know.
They're more open-minded.
And I don't even think it's a matter of somebody being closed-minded or open-minded, because I really feel it's a matter of, I don't know if it's a open or closed-minded thing. I'm thinking how to word this. It's just, I just really like to, I still am into like the discovery of something I haven't. Like when I hear something and I'm like, yo, what is this? I want to know what that is. Like, I haven't heard this before. Or damn, as a producer or a DJ, you're thinking, damn, how did he make that? How did he get the bass to like hit like that? Or how did he get the snares cracking? Like I still listen like that very attentively. So when it comes to just hearing stuff where I've already heard like 1,000 times, I'm like, and I'm not saying that just because I've heard it before that it's bad. It's just
you don't get that same feeling.
Yeah, it's just I'm just kind of tired of it, and I feel like a lot of the music that's popping in the club, the stuff that still works in the club, it's a trip. A lot of stuff that still works in the club is like the 2000s music,
which is true. Yeah, timeless music.
And it's timeless. I get why it's popping, but I played that stuff in the club when it was new, bro. So I'm just kind of like, bro, I already played this.
That's true.
I mean, and that goes into why it kind of sucks being at my age, because I get, for a lot of the new audience, that music may be new to them. But to me, it was like, bro, I remember dropping this record in the club in 2005 when it dropped.
That makes sense, because
so
if you think about it,
I'm just kind of done with it.
Yeah, and I feel like you could put it in the perspective of like any DJs that are listening right now. It's like you in 20 years or 15 years playing what's popping right now, or just what's trending right now in 20 years. I'm sure you would be tired of it, at that time in your life.
So that's my and that's no disrespect to my homies out there that are, because I have some amazing DJ like peers and homies who, that's how they get their bread, and they they love playing that music, and they play the top 40 crowds too. I've done that before, and I'm just not into it anymore, and I'm not hating on it. I'm not inspired to do it anymore. I can play those type of sets, but I'm just not into it. And I feel like with a lot of the underground dance culture, there's still this desire to hear or be put onto something that you haven't heard, and that's very important to me. Okay. I still like that feeling of the first time you hear some like really dope shit and you're like, damn, what is this? I gotta know what this is. It's not something that I've already heard, or it's some acapella that everybody already knows. I just get bored with that stuff, bro. Straight up.
So you're more selective towards maybe taking on gigs that put you in an environment or space where something like that can happen.
Yeah.
It gives you probably a certain sense of freedom.
Yeah. I don't really care to play events that if I'm not really into it, I don't want to play it, bro. I'm good.
Yeah. It transitions nicely to the topic of like, which I want to get into. You have an interesting, even more interesting perspective because of your 9 to 5, right? You have, we talked about this a little bit off camera, but you have a 9 to 5 where you're an educator, and that takes a lot of bandwidth and energy from you. So does that add to the whole ordeal of you being a little bit more selective about what you're going to be doing in your off time, or just the gigs that you're going to take on as well?
For sure. This is my, I've been teaching now for like 19 and a half years basically. And so my 9 to 5 is, that's my bread maker. You know, that's what puts food on the table. And, you know, in a way, my 9 to 5 gives me a lot of power to say no to stuff that I don't want to do or that I don't care to do. And I'm very careful about that because, you know, people, you know, everyone out here is trying to make it, you know, and trying to put food on the table. So, you know, that's not to insult anybody that is getting their money by, you know, playing the top 40 gigs and things like that. I'm not hating on it. I'm just saying what I'm not into it. But my 9 to 5 allows me to really stick to what I'm into. I can say no to things that I don't want to do and just only stick to the stuff that I'm really passionate about. So it's like my 9 to 5 gives me that power. And I tell a lot of younger DJs, or not even DJs, but just younger creatives who talk to me, hey man, how do you do both? And I always feel like an ass sometimes. So I'm careful how I word it. And I'm just like, there's no magic answer. You just do both. You know, I just, you know, there's some days when I come home from work and I'm feeling inspired and I turn on the turntables and I practice after work, you know, or I turn on the drum machine and I practice after work. You know, it just depends. There's no, cause I would be doing that whether or not I was getting booked for shows anyway, because that's what I'm passionate about. So if you're passionate about art and you have a 9 to 5, like still, you know, be passionate about your art, you know? So the 9 to 5 it gives me power to keep that creativity going. And it also allows me to stick to things that may not exactly be what's popping in the limelight, and what's maybe stick to certain sounds that are not, you know, the most lucrative in terms of bookings and things like that. But it's okay because, you know, I go to sleep well at night knowing that I'm playing what I want to play. Yeah. And going where I want to go, you know, so.
The power of saying no.
It's huge, man. It's huge. And I'm still learning how to say no, you know what I mean? But my job has definitely helped out with that a ton. But, you know, when I get asked how to do it, I'm just like, you just have to do it. Yeah. And it's like, early on, I mean, early on in your career, wherever you're at, whatever your 9 to 5 is, you may not have the same flexibility, but I've been, you know, in my district for going on 20 years now. And I run like, you know, 2 to 3 different programs at school. And I'm very, very, you know, not to toot my own horn, but it's like, I'm a value person at work. So no one's tripping on me. Like if once a month I got to take a day off and go play a gig or something, fly out somewhere.
But your hard work has earned you that type of
right. You know, it's staying on point with what I got to do. You know, it's a different, like Andres will tell you, like it's just I'm kind of just a different beast in terms of the DJ world, because I got to be able to book my own flights and all type of stuff like that, because I've got to be considered of, you know, coming back to work. On a Monday or Tuesday or whatever. If I take off on Monday because I'm flying out on Friday night to go play a gig on Saturday, and I might get back to work on Sunday or something. I might get back to work on Monday or something. You know, I have to be mindful of these things. All that goes in hand in staying on point. You know, making sure that I can't miss my flight because I got kids waiting for me at the door at 8 a.m. on Monday morning.
It's not like you could just call out of work at a corporate job.
I can't just extend my trip. You know, sometimes, you know, you have homies in other cities. Oh, bro, just kick it a few more days. It's like, I can't. I got to get back to the kids. So, and I guess that's in that respect or in that regard, that's could be considered limiting or whatever. But, you know, it keeps me in check.
And it works for you. You were talking about earlier how, you know, you kind of explain things to younger creatives that ask you how you do it. It's just like whatever works for you, and like what works for you may not work for somebody else. There's no blueprint.
You got to figure out how to weave through all that with what works for you.
100%.
You know, and that's what's been working for me, and that's what I've been doing. Absolutely. You know, but there are things that I want to revise, like being able to set more time. And the past couple of years, I've taken on a couple more roles at work that have made it harder for me to give as much to music as I want, but now they're starting to level out. Like I feel like this year I'll be able to be like, all right, I can lock back in a little bit more to the music because I've like established certain systems in place with these programs that I've helped create on my school site.
Okay.
So now that they're kind of locked in and they're running, like when you first start a business, it's at first it's rough, but now when you get everything oiled out, it's kind of like, okay, boom, it's running. Now I can
The automation.
I can kind of be a little bit more hands off now. So I think this year will be a good time for that.
Is that in the back of your mind sometimes when new opportunities like that arise? Like, damn, like the duality that we were talking about earlier, having to struggle with, like, damn, me doing this is going to take away from my passion and my DJing on the side. Is that like something that's in your mind?
Not really, because I would be doing this no matter what. If I had to be I hate that, bedroom DJ. I'm still a bedroom DJ. My second bedroom in the place where I stay. That's where my decks are at. So I still come home and turn the decks. So I would still be doing that. I would still be coming home and messing with my turntables regardless of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I feel that there's this mindset that permeates, especially like the hip hop world and DJing, was like, oh, well, if you're not doing it at this huge level, you're not successful.
Yes.
That's just totally false. That's not it. It's like, whereas say for example, someone's a student of guitar. Someone's a student of guitar and they're really good at guitar, and no one's always pressing them like, yo, why aren't you trying to blow up with that? It's just
That's true.
But when it's like hip hop or DJing, it's like, yo, why aren't you posting? Like, why aren't you uploading? Like, how come you don't want to blow up with this? It's just like, I'm cool where I'm at. Like sometimes, but other instruments, you can just learn them and play them, and
No
play your
pressure.
guitar, no pressure, and no one's on you. But there's like this, when it comes to hip hop, dance music, stuff like that, it's like, oh, well, what are you gonna do with that? So it's like,
Why do you
already
think
there.
that is?
I don't know, man. I'm not really sure.
That's true. I never thought about it that way.
It's annoying though, because it's there's so many different definitions of what success is in music. Man, I have friends that have plaques on like big records, and they don't got that many followers on Instagram. And people get caught up in all the numbers and everything too. But again, I go back to, I'm into the craft. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I know a ton of people that are making a living on music and living super comfortably, or balancing it with a 9-to-5 just like I am, and that's their version of success. And they may not be, popping or in the limelight.
They just stay out the way.
Yeah, they stay out the way, but they got your ass moving in the club because you may not have known they made that.
Yeah, that's true.
So there's different values, there's different definitions of success in music.
It's interesting point that you make, because I think a lot of creatives, especially in like the DJ community, that get sold a pipe dream of like, if you don't quit your job and you're not going full force on this thing, then you're not either dedicated, or you're not committed, or you're not, a true DJ. And I think that it goes that way for like a lot of other mediums as well, whether it be like you're trying to be an artist, or even for this, like podcasting. It's like, you're not looked at as respected if you don't quit your job and go full force. And I think it's such a flawed,
it's such a bullshit mindset, because it's, man, if you have a 9-to-5 that's giving you benefits and maybe a retirement or a pension, if you're at a place in music where you can comfortably let that go and know you're going to be okay, then yeah, do that. But bro, if you're not there yet, stay your ass where you're at. And create on the side. And because maybe somebody will call me, I'm scared or whatever, but I like that stability. I like having stability.
That's important to you.
Yeah, bro. Like, I'm never going back home, bro. Like, I mean, that's no offense to people that do whatever, but like, bro, like, once my mom was, I remember I got my first paycheck from teaching, and my mom was like, oh, well, now you can help out with this. And I was like, I'm out. Like, but that's what she raised me to be. Her whole thing was, I'm raising you to be able to get out on your own.
To do that.
And I can't go back, bro. So, I'm like, no, I gotta have something in place where I don't want to go back home.
Because the stability provides you that. And
Yeah,
you don't,
totally.
if you don't, and if you weren't to have the stability, you might have to go back.
Yeah. Or it's like, for me to maybe have a, I guess for me, man, like, the type of sounds that I'm into in terms of like dance music and things like that, I feel like I would have to sacrifice too much of the sound that I want to create, in order to, I guess,
Please the masses.
I would have to please the masses. I would have to change my sound up way too much to have it be something that could just totally wipe out what I earned from teaching. That makes sense. You know what I mean? Like I'm not willing to do that.
It's not worth it.
It's not, to me, it's not worth it. Nah, I'm good.
There's no need to be a starving artist.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not by all means a means to an end where you have to do it. Like,
Right.
why not support yourself? And to what you were saying earlier, I get it if your art or whatever your craft is taking over and like, you know, maybe
Yeah.
matching, like,
Yeah.
it makes sense then.
That would be a blessing. But I know that the stuff I'm into creating is not probably gonna put me on that level of, you know, financial stability. Just keeping it real.
And we talked about being a realist. Like,
Yeah, like-
I don't think people realize how small of a percentage of people like make that type of income from
exactly.
their craft that actually
Exactly.
supports them.
Exactly.
Like, even some of people's favorite artists are still working day jobs, or favorite DJs,
and
or
you wouldn't even know it.
Yeah.
You know, because of what gets pushed on socials.
Yep.
So but then that's kind of like it sends a blind message to some people that think like, oh man, if like you said, if I'm not doing this full time, I'm not really doing it. It's like, that's not true. Like, if you're getting booked, you're doing it. If you're out there doing it, then you're doing it, you know? And, you know, well, what's wrong with having multiple streams of income?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So it's like, you need that.
Exactly.
You know? And until I could get to that point, if I ever can, then I'm gonna keep showing up, you know, to that 9 to 5.
Yeah.
It's actually, you know, 8.
9 to 8.
You know, or I mean 8. You know, sorry, my kids are in the door at 8. But just I appreciate the discipline that gives me too, because I can't be late to first period. You know, like if I'm late to first period, I've got, you know, 35 kids. Like, where you at? You know, so that discipline translates over into showing up to sound check on time, making sure I'm on time for my flight. So it's kind of like I appreciate the structure that I've been given from my 9 to 5, because it allows me to have that same structure with, you know, DJing abroad or wherever I'm doing.
Yeah.
You know, just professionalism, because that's something that's lacking
Yeah.
in the creative space, and we're keeping it a butt.
No, I
Because
100%.
professionalism is not there. A lot of people miss out on opportunities because they just don't handle business properly, or just don't know how to conduct themselves in an email or anything like that, you know?
100%. A lot of artists are hard to work with.
You said that. So,
No, it's true. I was gonna get into something about, like, I'm not gonna get into that.
all good. We could talk about
No
it later.
personal stories.
Yeah.
What fulfills you about being an educator?
That's changed over the years, but lately it's interesting, man. I used to teach elementary. I taught my first 5 years elementary school, and then I had enough seniority when the budget cuts hit in around like 2009, 2008 to between like 2008, 2010. The budget was falling off, and I didn't get pink slip, which means I wasn't going to get laid off, but I had to go to a different school in the district still.
Okay.
And I remember the human resources guy at the time was like, yo, I don't have a spot for you at another elementary school right now, because that's what my credential was in at the time, was elementary school, because it's a different credential for, you know, elementary versus like middle school, high school stuff, right?
Like childhood education.
Yeah. So I was like, damn, I don't know where I'm gonna go. Like, the summer's almost approaching, and he calls me. He's like, yo, I got a middle school spot for you. And I was like, man, I didn't go to school for that. I don't know about that. And so he's like, no, I've seen you teach. Just try it out. So I gave it a shot. And I remember my first middle school boss was like, yo, he's like, he gave me some of the realest advice. He's like, this is middle school. It's 7th and 8th grade. It's like a holding tank until they're ready to go to high school. He's like, I just want you to teach these kids. He's like, bro, I know you know how to teach the academia side. I just want you to teach these kids how not to be little shitheads. That's what he said. And I was like, damn. And then, but
Before it's too late.
yeah, he was like, that's what I want from you. And I was like, okay, cool. So now, that's kind of basically framed by teaching. It's like, I teach science. It's like basic 7th grade biology. And I also taught like 8th grade, which is like physical science, chemistry, physics. But my main focus has been 7th grade. Like, it's called life science, but it's intro.
Okay.
Very, very, very intro level bio, basically. And the science is cool, but it's more like a vessel of just connecting with kids and just teaching them just how to be organized and stay on point with their studies and things like that. But also just the one thing that is important to me with them is making sure that they're comfortable in my class.
Okay.
And that also that they look at me as not with fear, but like a mutual respect. So I rarely have behavior issues in my class because I'm very big on making sure that kids and their basic needs are met first, like, and what changed my perspective on that was when the previous middle school I was at, I was working with like a lower income families, and after a while I was questioning homework and stuff like that because I would be assigning homework and none of it was getting done. But then I had to check myself and the privilege that I had, and it was kind of like, well, I had 2 educators at home, but now I'm working with kids who go home and their parents are leaving to work, working, night shift jobs or whatever. And when they get home, the 7th or 8th grader is now dad until mom or dad gets back home. And so stuff wasn't getting done. So I was like, I got to look at this differently. So now I look at I look at it as I only really have control over what they do when they're with me for that 50 something minutes in class each period. And so it's a lot of just making sure that they understand how to stay organized, but also just a lot of just team building activities with them, but also just, man, just joking around with them and having fun and making sure we do a lot of hands-on stuff. Kids are into that, everything's so like, especially with everything going to Chromebooks and everything, a lot of stuff online or whatever, like we do a lot of hands-on stuff in science, so it helps out a lot. But yeah, just focusing on those connections with them, asking them what they're into. And I used to hide the DJing from them, but it's helped out so much.
Connecting with them?
Yeah, because on the first day of school, I'm not like, hey guys, I'm a DJ. But typically with their older siblings and people that have had me before that they know, they're like, yo, Mr. Jackson, you're a DJ? They'll find my Instagram and they're like, yo, we found your Instagram. Oh. And I'm just like, all right, cool. And they're just like, so you DJ like for real? And I'm like, yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's crazy. And so, and you'll get the 7th or 8th graders that are little music heads, and they'll start singing like, yo, have you heard this? And like after class,
and
it's
really
just
connecting with them.
Bro, and when you connect with kids on something that has nothing to do with school, all of a sudden they will do anything school related for you. You know what I mean? So
tool.
the fact that I'm more open with me as a person and what my hobbies are, it kind of shows them, even how we were just talking about, you can do your 9 to 5 and have your passion. I show the kids like, yo, yeah, I'm a teacher, but I still go home and I'm still into hip hop. And like my kids came back, they're like, yo, Mr. Jackson, do you see K-Dot's performance? And I'm like, yeah.
Oh, so you can kind of talk about that stuff.
Yeah, you can talk about it with them, and just being able to talk about things that they're currently into helps out tremendously. Because we all had those teachers where we knew that they were full of it and didn't want to be there. And we all had some of those teachers. Well, some of us did. Had a few teachers here and there were like, all right, this teacher's different. Or, this teacher is on us. My kids will tell you, like, I'm on them about making sure their work is done. But besides that, I don't worry about the petty stuff, man. I don't sweat a lot of other stuff that other teachers sweat. And it works that way. I don't really have any behavior issues. The downside of that, though, is I feel like colleagues and sometimes previous administration, like, oh, Jared's good with the knuckleheads, let's give him all to him. Or I take issue with that because I'm like, no, you need to get some of these other teachers to also learn that, hey, you signed up to be an educator, you got to be able to talk to kids from different backgrounds. You can't all just give me all those kids just because.
That's not fair.
Yeah, it's lame. It's like, you got to find a way to connect with those kids too. And that's super important, and you can't connect with every kid. I work with like 200 different personalities each day. You know what I mean? So like you can't connect with all of them on a deep level, because some of them, there's some of them are just like, whatever. They're like, oh, I don't really like this class. It's like, cool, you can't get offended about it. It is what it is. But for the ones that you can, like, you try to just make sure I try to make sure I'm always staying connected with them as people.
Yeah.
Even just like, it sounds like super simple, but just even kids that are like, yo, Mr. Jackson, could I have my snack in class? And I'm just like, man, go ahead. Like, you're doing your work. Like, I don't sweat petty stuff like that. But just even kids, sometime they'll have some snacks out on their desk while they're working on something. I'm like, yo, Mr. Jackson, you want some? And like, sometimes I don't even want it, like maybe, but just the act of me saying, yeah, I'll take some, just sharing with them. That's a connection right there. That's
the vulnerability.
Yeah, exactly. And they vibe with that, and I think a lot of teachers miss the mark on that. Just simple things that you could do to just show that you're human.
Yeah.
And they vibe with it. And like, I'm blessed because I don't have like hardly any behavior issues.
It's
man.
interesting because I feel like you can't learn that in like a university or taking a course. Like that's stuff you learn along the way.
Student teaching teaches you like theory and stuff like that, but yeah, you don't learn until you're actually in the thick of it with those kids, man.
Yeah. Crazy, man. The kids, I was gonna ask you that too, if they know that you're like this dope selector and producer outside.
Well, you got to remember my first students were 2006, 2007.
Oh,
And so I do have a few students now that will pull up to shows, bro. It's
because they're
pretty
much
crazy.
older now.
They're older now, you know, they're in their 20s, you know, and it's like, I'm that old now, you know, I'll be, you know, I'm an 82 baby, so I'll be 43 this year. So it's crazy because I'll have kids that, hey, Mr. Jackson, we're going to pull up to your show. And it's crazy, like full circle, where I'm like, putting a kid that was in my 4th grade class, they're now in their mid-20s, and I'm like, yo, I got you on the guest list. It's crazy.
crazy, yeah.
And I'm like, they're a grown-ass man or woman, you know, it's a trip. But yeah,
You're
cool.
in a very rare position. I feel like not many people have been in a position like that.
I don't take it lightly, because it's like, yeah, I'm old, but still young enough where I'm like right in between, you know what I mean, where I could still kind of understand some things about the younger kids coming up, but also see where I'm headed to as an older guy, you know.
Does it become challenging at all to juggle both the DJing side of things and the educator side of things, or have you kind of like made it to a point in these 19 years where you kind of like just operated?
I just take, like, if events pop up and I'm into it, I say yes and I just do it. And it's funny now because, you know, usually like the week of the event or two weeks before the event, I'll post the flyer or whatever. And all my students follow me on social. So,
oh, they do?
Oh, yeah,
they all follow?
Well, not, I'm going to say all of them, but a lot of them do. And so I'm just, hey guys, you know, I always go over on Monday. I always put up something called the week at a glance, where I show, hey, this is what we're going to do. I'm like, all right, guys, I'm not here on Friday. And they're like, where you DJing at? And I can't even lie no more. I'm like, oh, I'm heading to so-and-so. And they're like, all right. And I'm like, hey, hold down. I don't want to get no sub note when I get back, you know? So they're like, all right, we got you. You know, like, they get it. So and I just being vulnerable with them and just, you know, not lying and be like, oh, I'm sick. It's like, nah, I'm going to DJ.
It's almost on some homie shit.
Yeah. But also still like, they respect me as an authority in the class, but I'm not authoritarian, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
You know, but they also just talk to me about a lot of just issues outside of school, and they trust me. You know, like a lot of times I find myself, I've even had some friends that are counselors, and I'm like, dude, you're already doing like counseling, you need to get your counseling credential, because kids tell me a bunch of stuff, and some stuff I'm just like, well, I don't need to hear all that, you know, because if some stuff I hear, I'm like, I gotta report that now, you know, you know, so it's a trip, but I don't take it lightly that they trust me enough, you know, to do so, because
it says a lot about how they look up to you as a person. You know,
and I tell them all the time, like, I learn from them. I mean, we're all human, bro. Like, some days I'm not all there or whatever, or I may be feeling some blues or whatever. And it's been interesting. Like, I've started opening up to kids more. Just if I'm just not feeling well that day, and I'm like, hey guys, I know usually I'm a little bit more, you know, joking around with you today, but don't take offense, but Mr. J ain't feeling that good today. And I just tell them that, and they'll be like, all right. And they chill out.
Oh, no way.
Just straight, like, yeah, because it's just more like a mutual thing. It's hey, don't take offense if I'm not joking around with you guys as much today. It's not you. I'm going through some stuff and I'm not feeling it, but we got to get through the lesson. And they're like, all right, and they just lock in, and that's how I operate with them. It's crazy.
You just be so real with them.
Just be real with them, and they're just like, okay, word, and they respect that. And also saying sorry, apologizing, like when you've made a mistake or when you're wrong with them, or hey, Mr. Jackson, or it could be about something that happened in class, or it could be about maybe you put something in the grade book wrong, and just being like, oh, bet, like, cool, thanks for telling me that. Like, I just the other day, like, a kid was honest about I had put something in the computer wrong, and he's like, yo, Mr. Jackson, I didn't get a 85, I got an 80, and I had typed it in because I'm trying to enter grades, and I was like, bro, I appreciate that. I'm gonna give you you can have the 85.
Here's the 5%,
or here's the 5 points, just off the strength of you being a real one. You know what I mean? Just those type of opportunities that I think, you know, a lot of people miss out on with kids, and they look at that like, oh, okay, bet.
That's got to be so fulfilling to have that type of impact on them, you know?
It's fulfilling, and teaching, if you're doing a good job teaching, it's also very draining, bro. Very, man.
Because you're investing so much of yourself, or what's the reason?
Oh, totally. Just and it's not so much of, I don't take that much work home anymore. I've got my system pretty much figured out, or I try to get most stuff done at work. And if I don't finish it at work, I do it the next day. But just being on, we talked about this before we started recording, being on all the time is draining. Sometimes after work, man, I don't want to talk to anybody for a few hours because I've had to be on with these kids and make sure that they feel comfortable and not just be super dry with them, you know? So after work, I'm just like, dude, I'm cooked sometimes mentally. And sometimes that does mess with creativity. So I might have the mental energy a lot to come home after work and practice on my turntables, you know, practice DJing, but making music sometimes it's tough because I've already used up, I don't know if I've used up those brain cells or whatever, but I've used up that mental energy already. And I got to recharge. So I have to do something else, like get on my road bike or my mountain bike or whatever, hit the gym or whatever. I got to do something like that instead.
I was gonna ask you what you do to get away from everything and clear your mind, because I know you were big into cycling.
Yeah, definitely. Cycling is, well, I mean, I don't skateboard anymore, but I still follow a lot of a lot of skaters and things like that. But growing up, I raced BMX. My dad would take me around the tracks, and I would race bicycles.
BMX too?
Yeah, race
Bro,
bicycles. Yeah.
did
I have a ton of
Renaissance,
hobbies,
man.
man. Yeah, like I love like I just love tapping into different hobbies. So
They all sound like active stuff though.
oh,
too.
super active. Yeah, I never really stopped going outside to play, if that makes sense. Like I still come home after work and I'll hit up the homies. I'm like, yo, who's riding the trails today? We ride mountain bikes, or you know, I ride my road bike or something, you know, or anything like that. Or you know, I converted right before like 2 years before COVID happened, I had bought a bunch of like Rogue Fitness gym equipment, put it in my garage, and you know, and it came in clutch when 2020 came around.
Hell yeah,
So,
you couldn't get that
exactly. So I'm either, you know, one of those things. I'm either riding my bike or lifting weights after work. I have the physical energy. I'm not burned out physically after work from dealing with the kids, but I'm burned out like mentally. And a lot of times it makes it tough for me to record like content, you know. I know, like, you know, shout out to Joe. He's always trying to encourage me, like, bro, share your gift, you know, get out there. But sometimes, bro, I just don't have the energy to turn on a camera after work. And it's not the physical energy. It's just like,
That's a mental muscle.
I'm like, bro, I was already on for 200 kids a day. I don't want to be on the screen right now. You know what I mean? Especially during the pandemic, when everyone was doing like the live streaming and DJ sets. I tried it like 3 times and I was like, nah.
What's your gripe with the digital age and posting and all that?
Well, I'm gonna come back to that, but
Oh yeah, finish your point.
it was people would be like, yo, how come you're not streaming? I was like, bro, I was on Zoom all day trying to teach science through a screen.
Yeah.
It's a hands-on subject, and I'm trying to figure out how to teach science through a screen, bro. Like, and I had to do that for like a year and a half. You know, that sucked. I wasn't trying to turn on a camera after work, bro. I had to be literally like each period, you know, you have kids logging from home because one thing I did during a pandemic is to keep my routine is some teachers stayed home and taught from home. You could do that, but I still made it a point. They would open up the school and I would go and just shoot from my classroom. I would have like my webcam set up. And also too, it was like a bunch of my other colleagues were like buying all these lights and stuff at home. And I'm like, man, we got great lighting in the classroom. I'm just going to get up each day like I was going to work. And I still went into work each day, even though there was no kids there.
Wow.
And that was more of a discipline thing with me, because I also, with the where I would have to stream at for the kids is like my production studio, right? Where I have all my synthesizers and drum machines. I'm like, yo, this is not, I don't want to teach from here. You know what I mean? It might have been cool for some of the kids to see that, but at the same time, I like to keep that separate. You know?
Do you think that intrudes on your like creative space?
Yeah, that's also just privacy too, man. Like, I don't know. And going back to your question about why I'm not anti-content. I feel like there is a thing as oversharing. Like, I kind of don't want everybody to see all my equipment, bro. Like, I don't know. I come from a world where like you showing too much, that's how you get jacked or whatever, man, or having somebody break in, like that's real, you know. I have like a lot of drum machines and synthesizers and things like that, and you know, I like to keep that stuff to me. I'll show little glimpses of it here. I mean, you could probably, looking at my Instagram, piece together all the stuff I have, but in terms of like this, hey guys, here's the introduction to my home studio, I can't do that.
Yeah, it's fair.
I don't know. It's just my private space is sacred to me too. That's where I go to just loosen up. But I'm trying to get better about it this year, but I do struggle with it, man. But a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'm so on for work all the time, bro. I have to be on for kids. If maybe if I worked in a cubicle with only like 2 other people all day, I'd be cool.
Yeah,
I have 200 personalities every day.
it's a lot to take in.
I don't want to turn on a camera after work. That's lame.
Because then I think we talked about it before too, but you're not being you at that point. If you do turn on the camera, it's performative.
It's
Yeah.
performative. It's like, oh, and I'd be thinking, okay, what can I got to put together a little routine on the decks. What could I do today? It's just, or a lot of time I'll do record something and I'm like, this is super basic. Like, why would I post this? Like somebody else might post it and to them it might be like amazing, but in my head I'm like, this is mid, bro. I'm not posting this. So
Because you wouldn't do that with your music either. So why would you do that?
right. So, and I feel like a lot of, just going back when we first started, I think a lot of DJ content today, I'm not really into the visual side of DJ content these days, because I will listen to a lot of DJ sets while I'm like working out, but I don't need to see the video, because most people aren't really, I'll be in trouble for saying this, but they're not doing much on the decks. So I don't feel like I need to be watching that.
Yeah.
Like if I want to watch somebody visually, it'll be like DJ Melody from the Beat Junkies, or DJ Coco, the Japanese DJ that does like the 45s, because you're like visually watching him work the decks and you're like, whoa, that's crazy. Because I understand what he's doing and he's levels beyond I am, but I can still appreciate like, yo, how did he do that? You know what I mean? So, but most DJ content these days is just kind of, it's not that visually. I don't get inspired by it because there's just not much going on. That's different than live show recaps, like someone, like you see the energy from the crowd and things like that. I understand why that may inspire people, but a lot of DJ content that I see uploaded, I'm just like, there's not a lot going on here. Yeah. And I'm not saying that everybody, I'm very careful about that, because not everybody has to be a turntablist. There's different types of DJ. There's radio DJs, and as long as you're a nerd about that aspect of your craft, cool. I'm just saying visually, I don't find a lot of inspiration in DJ content visually. So that's why I don't, if I have to force myself to create it, because I don't be inspired by that too much.
Do you think people are too easily impressed these days? Because of social media?
Bro, way too impressed these days. Like, and I blame that on DJ culture letting it get out of hand. For so long, people were had no fundamentals for a long time, where, you know, people are popping but couldn't blend 2 tracks together, which is DJ 101. You know, like that's DJ 101. It's not impressive if you could blend from one track to another. But because the bar was so low for so long, now it's like, if you can do that, it's like you're dope. You know what I mean? And because the bar was so low for so long, that now, and it also has to do with a lot of people that maybe are seeing DJs, they don't DJ themselves. So they don't really understand what's going on the decks or whatever. Yeah. So they see something going on that's like very, very rudimentary, like very basic, and they're just like amazed by it, because they don't know. Yeah. You know what I mean? But when you're into it, you're like, it's not doing nothing.
And there's nobody to check them anymore, really.
Right.
It's gotten out of hand. It almost seems like at this point.
You know what, man? I feel like access to DJ equipment it's a gift and a curse. I love that more and more people are able to, you know, be selectors and put mixes together at home. It's beautiful, like, because music is for everybody. But the flip side of that, so it's like, it's a good thing that everybody has access to it, but that's also the bad side.
100%. I think it's that way.
It's with anything. It's with anything. Yeah. Because, and it sounds like very like gatekeeper-ish or whatever, and people use that term, but it's like, bro, there is something different about when you had to, like, you know, save up for some decks or something because you really wanted to. There's a difference, man. Like that's I feel like, you know, sometimes I get it, you know, the price of like CDJs are super expensive, and sometimes you get people on Twitter like, oh man, it's still expensive. This should be accessible to everyone. It's like, bro, if you want to play guitar, you gotta save up for a guitar.
Yeah, 100%.
If you want to play bass, you gotta have a bass hand. You know, if you want a drum set, it's like, so if you about it, then get you know, save up for it. You know what I mean? So maybe that's my old head coming out, but it's just like, you know, some of the stuff is just a lot of entitlement in DJing today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's just it's kind of like the stuff that I saw growing up kind of ruined me because the stuff I saw and DJ battles, or not even DJ battles. Let me back up. I grew up hearing the Beat Junkies live on the radio, bro.
Oh, really?
On like Power 106, 92.3 The Beat, Traffic Jam mixes, Melody, DJ Chalk, shout out to all of them, DJ Babu, J Rock, all the Beat Junkies, bro, like Redmatic. I would listen to them on the radio and hear what they were doing live. And that kind of framed my mindset of like how blends are supposed to be, how DJing is supposed to be. And these dudes were doing that on the fly with wax, with vinyl. Like, and I heard that on the radio as a kid in the Traffic Jam mix. So my lens of like what's dope is like way different.
Yeah.
It's way different. You know, it's like I've seen the Summarize do it. You know what I mean? And I always joke around like whenever sometimes on like me and Joe do the Untitled, you know, Joe would be on CDJs and I still like to rock turntables because that's what people, and I own CDJs. I own them too. I know how to use them, but I love playing on the turntables. That's my shit, right? But sometimes the engineers, when we go to these places,
they hate to see Jared coming.
No, it's not that they hate. Sometimes they're kind of surprised, like, damn, you're still playing on turntables, where it's almost like when you're playing on turntables, it's like you're the samurai with the katana and everybody else has now moved on to gunpowder and they're just like, bro, what are you on that for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, nah, I still like that blade, homie. It's less forgiving. And I'm just attracted to that. Like it's easy to get sloppy with the decks, you know what I mean? But I like that because I feel like to me they're more engaging. And that's why I enjoy that. That's why I like watching if I do watch DJ content, a lot of stuff I'm inspired by is cats on turntables because I'm like, yo, he's working the decks.
Yeah.
I like that.
You feel more comfortable?
I'm comfortable on both, but I'm definitely more, even though I find CDJs easier to play on, I'm definitely more comfortable on turntables because I just grew up on turntables. It's like a childhood love that has never left. I still come home and I see my 1200s and I'm like, because I remember what it was like to have to save up for them joints or whatever, but it's just the feeling of just scratching a record. It's different than like a non-moving platter to me.
Which is almost like sentimental at that point, or has some type of like nostalgia.
There's definitely nostalgia. I'm not gonna say that there's no nostalgia, but it's also just the feel of it too. To me, it's a feeling. It's a different instrument because I have CDJs at the crib too, and it's just I just don't feel as alive when I'm on them.
That's fair.
And I know this is gonna play back, and I just sound like a hipster, but it's just I just don't feel as real. I don't feel as connected on them.
Yeah,
you know.
And the way things have progressed with decks like today, there's so many, I feel like, quote unquote handicaps for a lot of people that almost take away like the craft of it. I kind of like think for some reason I was kept on thinking about this in my head when you were talking about it. It's just like it's almost like bowling with like bumpers on versus.
And that's the thing too is, man, there's an interesting like there were not so much anymore, but like a couple years ago there was like this beef of like, I don't know, people on CDJs were talking trash on people with controllers, and I'm like, this is stupid. Like, like, because at the end of the day, I'm sorry, bro, and this is gonna ruffle feathers again, but if your songs on CDJs are properly beat gridded, that means the BPM is right. All you're really doing it really, you can match the BPM easy. You just, okay, this one's at 120 BPM. Okay, let me match this one at 120 BPM. At that point, you still gotta choose when to drop the song in and all that stuff. So, but there's not a lot of like, you know, they're stable. You know, you just have to nudge them a few times to keep them in sync. Yeah. So you get people like, oh, well, that guy uses sync. I don't use sync when I use CDJs. It's like, bro, the CDJs don't even drift that much. Like, if you really want to brag, it was always funny to me when CDJ people would brag about like not using sync a lot. Because my whole thing is, if you really want to brag about doing things manually, if that's what's important to you, then do it with 2 pieces of vinyl. Yeah. And I don't even like saying that because I'm not bringing vinyl anywhere anymore, bro. I'm Serato gang till I die. You know, like I love Serato, I love technology, but
Bro,
people be fronting like, oh yeah, I'm doing stuff fully manual. It's like, it's a CDJ. Relax, bro.
yeah.
Relax. We love
100%.
CDJs because they are stable. They don't, you know, they're not influenced so much by the vibration of the club anymore. They're great. They're great tools, but there's like a high horse sometime. Even with just like nerds talking about like, oh, people bringing laptops in the booth. Like, man, shut up, man. Like I get wordy when people start talking out of pocket with that kind of stuff, because people are like, oh, you go to see, why are you bringing your laptop in the booth, bro? We used to bring crates in the booth, and you're crying about somebody bringing a laptop in the booth. And at the end of the day, like, you're worried about what it looks like on your IG reel or whatever, but what's coming out the speakers, bro?
That's true.
You know, like, so it's a lot of little corny stuff in DJing that I used to be way more vocal on Twitter, and I kind of just chilled out because I'm just like, this is pointless. Like,
You stopped fighting that fight.
I stopped fighting. Let me just show it my hands only. But yeah, I used to be way more vocal about calling out the nonsense too, because I will say this: I'm not mad that younger DJs are on CDJs, because when I started, the equipment, the modern equipment of that time was turntables. So that's what I'm on.
Yeah.
So I can't be mad at one of my students for getting a controller. That's what they have access to. You know what I mean? Like, so I'm not against it. When I say I'm like in the turntables, that's what I like to play on. But I know a ton of like dope cats on CDJs like that kill it. You know, Jael, Jero Vando, like them dudes are like,
Yeah, they're crazy.
Cold on them, bro. They use a CDJ like an instrument. You know what I mean? So Rossi B and Luca out from the UK as well, like Nefa T from the UK. Dudes are beasts on the CDJs. And I mess with them because you can tell they're nerds about using the CDJ. They've used the CDJ in like a manner that is kind of, you know, they use it in a way that it was like, damn, they're flipping the CDJ in a way that the designer probably didn't even know that the CDJ was going to be used. And I think that's hip hop to the core. You know, I'm going off on my old head rant, but the Akai MPC, the drum machine that everybody knows, is, you know, Roger Lynn didn't make that for hip hop. It was adopted by hip hop heads, or the 808 drum machine or the 909. Like those drum machines were taken and then used to create something beautiful, other different types of music. So like the technology head in me, the tech head that I am, and the futurist that I am, I do like new equipment too. You know what I mean? But when it comes to DJing, I like turntables.
Well, in ways like that instance, it's like they're unlocking new ways of using it.
Yeah, like, my whole thing is use the new equipment. Just be dope at it. Just be dope at it. Like, you got all these options and like doing the bare minimum.
Use it to its full potential.
Like I'm okay with controller CDJs, but can you rock them? Like, are you flipping them? Are you it goes back to just, are you dope at the craft, bro? Like, that's important to me. That's what inspires me.
It's cool to see collectives like the Beat Junkies, you know, who have their academy or their school, right? Where they're teaching it the right way.
Yeah,
there's not many like them.
It's not many like that. And the thing is, I've had conversations. It was so like groundbreaking for me. I remember one time I was on the phone with Babu, and he had asked me about, you know, hey, how would you do this as a teacher? And then, you know, it was like, dope, someone that I emulated rewinding DVDs is asking me for my input because I'm an educator. It was crazy, but it's been, they're dope, but they're like, they're futurists too, because they also recognize that, hey, a bunch of our students may not care about turntables, but we're going to show them how to rock CDJs or controllers or just learn the craft, you know? And that's a rare, that school is like so dope. It is. I didn't have anything like that, bro. You know what I mean? Nothing. Yeah. So, you know, they're making some dope DJs come out of that school, you know, teaching them the fundamentals and being able to apply that to whatever equipment they're on. That's a beautiful thing, man. It is. And there's some old heads that are like, oh yeah, you know, I didn't have it like that. And it's like, I'm not cool with that mindset either, because it's like, okay, you didn't have it like that, but what's wrong with the new generation having access to those tools? You know what I mean? That's cool, because I would be a hypocrite as an educator if I wasn't okay with, like, you know, the Beat Junkies educating people on how to do it. Yeah, like, you that's know, what it is. Because if you can complain about it, but are you teaching them how to do it? You know what I mean? Whenever there's like a younger cat that asks me questions about DJing and how to do stuff, I'll give them the straight answer. Like, okay, look, don't do that. I see what you're trying to do this instead. You know, like, I'm very open. I'm not like, oh no, I'm not showing you how to do stuff.
because I think that a lot of like quote unquote old heads have that that tactic where they like, no, you have to struggle like I did.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. Or and there's also lines where I'm a hypocrite on that myself, in terms of like people. I don't know, because just I'm not perfect, and I know that. But when people maybe like ask you for like a folder of music, and I'm like, what? Like, wait. What do you mean? You want me to give you a folder of music? You're like, nah, we don't do that around here. You know what I mean? And it's like I dug for this stuff and I found it, but then I have to check myself. Is it about sharing the music or is it about keeping my, So it's like there's the duality of that in my mind where I'm like, damn, like, you know what I mean? Like I'm never one of those people that like hides track IDs. I think that is lame because it doesn't help out the producer that made it, But at the same time, there is like a fine line when someone's just lazy and like, hey, they just, oh, can you give me just a hard drive or of your, I want to play exactly what you play, and then that doesn't really allow you to craft your own kind of sound, basically.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong, bro. Like now it's like we all kind of rely on that. Like someone posts a track list and you're like, oh, what is this track at 3 minutes and 40 seconds? Like I'm gonna go to the track list and get what that was. So we're sharing it, but there's it's nuanced, like sometimes you just have people that are just want to copy your whole thing, your whole crate or whatever, or play like you play. But
if it's coming from entitledism, like a place of entitled, is when you don't rock with it, really, or
just laziness, straight up. And on some like just the hip hop mindset is at the same time on that token, sometimes I do just give people a bunch of stuff because I'm like, hey, can't play it like I can, and I don't mean that in a cocky way, but it's more like, you're going to play it how you play it, and I'm going to play it how I play it. So, I mean, but if you're biting exactly how I do it, then that's like...
It's like cooking. You got all the ingredients, but are you going to put it together?
Perfect analogy right there, because, I can give you the same ingredients, but if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to brick.
Yeah.
Straight up. It's the same thing. So I definitely, like, I have to check myself on some times where I'm like, keeping this to myself.
It's interesting the way you kind of shift between.
I'm always trying to. I try to check myself because I know I contradict myself in many ways. Like we all do.
We all do.
Humans.
Yeah,
we all do, and it's good to recognize that. But yeah, that's how I operate, and trying to that duality of like, I know I feel like this, but let me catch myself and back up here and.
And it's okay to. I feel like it's okay to share, to change your perspective on things.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like,
and that's the problem with the internet
a lot today.
Yeah, because the internet is like, man, you get crucified for saying something.
Yep.
And then you just may have been in that mindset at that time, and you may not have even said anything crazy out of pocket, but people just cast that on you forever. And that's one reason why I've held off on a podcast and interviews for so long, because I'm just like, the way people go today, man, it's like. Like Kendrick said, the overnight activist, and it's just everyone's gonna write a think piece on it, and it's like not even that deep, bro. Like sometimes.
Well, that's why I love like formats like this, because it shows that it's okay to have different perspectives than other people, and it's important on that note to get a perspective from you versus maybe like a new age DJ and formulate your own perspective based off like listening to both of the perspectives. Because if you just are constantly fed this like one idea of how something should be done, then you're not doing yourself any good.
I will say this, bro. Like old head DJs like myself, like make sure you got some younger cats around you, because they know all the social media tricks, and like they know that stuff, bro. Like that's their world. They came up with this, you know what I mean? Whereas me, sometimes I struggle with that stuff because I'm just not interested in it. But the younger cats can put you on some game on marketing and all type of stuff, bro. They can, like that's real. That's like Olea, for example. He'll hit me up about technical stuff on the decks, but then like he'll put me up on all little features on like Instagram, or post here or post at this time, or like just stuff that I wasn't even aware of, bro. Just because I mean, I'm sure if I was into it more, I would know, but just because I got so much stuff going on. But you have somebody else who's like already tapped in, like you gotta keep some older kids around you and some younger kids around you, bro. Because and just. I think that's a big mistake that a lot of older cats make, is thinking that you can't learn anything from the younger generation. That is purely false. I learn stuff from my kids all the time.
Yeah, that's
there'll be something like even on my phone or whatever, and I'm like, oh, and one of the kids, I'm like, hey, you guys know how to set up so-and-so on the iPhone? Oh, I got you, Mr. Jackson. Cool. Like, they know it, you know what I mean? Like, they sometimes they're just dope at stuff, and you just got to recognize that too.
Yeah.
They know certain things that I may not, and it's all good. So I just go back to whether the knowledge is coming from somebody old or young. Like, I don't care if the knowledge is good knowledge, if it's good information, like, run with it.
That's an important point, to be receptive to
You
both
have
sides.
to,
Yeah.
because a lot of older DJs like myself, we struggle with content, we struggle with social media, and the younger DJs don't. So so they know how to work that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're beast at it.
They are.
So you might as well tap in with them on what is aesthetically pleasing and all type of stuff too. And of course keep your own input in that, but don't shy away from the things that they are doing and that they can teach you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And because they can, it's trading of information. It's like, I hate the term transactional or whatever, because you're learning something from them, they're learning something from you. So yeah, there's something to benefit from both ends. You know what I mean? You don't just have one person just leeching off the other, but you can definitely learn from young cats too, bro.
Yeah.
I'm saying that for sure. So if I've offended any young cats, I'm not trying to offend you guys. You guys are great at what you do. I just like a little bit of balance of like old and new.
Yeah, it's about balance.
Because again, to me, it's not about whether it's old or new. It's about whether it's dope. If it's dope, I'm okay. I'm okay with it. If it's from the year 2030 and it's dope, I'm rocking with it. If it's from the year 1830 and it's dope, I'm rocking with it. Like, I don't care.
Yeah.
If I think it's dope, I think it's dope.
But staying true to that and not like bending it for
Yeah,
some trend or something that's happening.
Going into that, there are times when, I mean, I could switch up and play what's currently trending on the latest TikTok reel or IG reel or whatever. Or like, I'll be honest, I'm not really into the mashup 2.0 trend right now, because I feel like I already experienced this before with the mashups before, like 15 years ago, and I wasn't really into them then. And every wave goes through its, it is what it is. But I do recognize too, that, hey, I am about to be 43 years old. I don't have to bend and necessarily do something to try to relate to 21-year-old, 21, like, I don't need to do that. Like, for what? They're gonna have a different mindset when they're my age too. So it is what it is,
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. For the most part, my pops, he's in his 60s now. A lot of the hip hop we share, he's into it, but he ain't into everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's some stuff he's like, I ain't listening to this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Might be a little bit too ignorant for him. And I'm like, nah, this is fire. So it's just a generational thing. But I've had to check myself and be like, it's okay not wanting to bend and do stuff that or bend and do stuff that a 21-year-old is currently into, or a 20-year-old, and not approach it with the mindset of, oh, I'm not doing that just because they like it, but more of the mindset is like, I'm just not into that. If I'm not into it, I'm not into it. It's like Common said, if I don't like it, I don't like it. It don't mean that I'm hating. Like, I'm just not into it. Like,
if somebody else perceives that as hating, that's on them.
That's on them, bro. Like, I'm just not into it. Some stuff I'm not into a lot of the current DJ trends right now. Like, a lot of people force stuff, bro. A lot of stuff feels forced. Like, I don't want to hear, hey, yo, bro, I got this new edit and it's got a I'm gonna get in trouble, but it's like, it's like, oh, I put a Biggie Smalls acapella over Nirvana instrumental, bro. Why?
Why?
What? I don't care if they're in the same key. Who told you?
Yeah.
Where are you playing this at, bro? Like,
there's nobody to ask them why.
Yeah, like, what? Like, no, we don't need that. That's my opinion. That's my opinion.
It's okay to have an opinion.
It might not. Sometimes it's not, bro. It's 2025. You can't have an opinion no more.
That's true.
But yeah, there's a lot of forced stuff with this mashup blend stuff, and I'm just like, man, stems, like the whole stems.
Oh yeah,
stems,
that wave,
gift and a curse, bro, because it gave a gift to a lot of people, but it's a lot of power in people's hands that shouldn't be touching it, bro. I'm just like, oh,
it's in the wrong hands.
Yeah, it's like, okay, these two are in the same key, but the energy ain't the same, or it just doesn't make sense.
It's almost like you should have to pass some type of like course or something.
Yeah, I'll be digging on SoundCloud or whatever, and I'm like digging through tracks, and the title may not reveal that there's a certain acapella over it, and I'm listening, I'm like, yo, this beat's fire, and it's like maybe like house or deep house or UKG, and then somebody threw like a 2 Chainz acapella over it. Like, bro, why, bro? Like, nah, I'm not playing that. It's just like, but gratefully with Stems, we got that. We can mute the vocals now, so.
Oh, that's true.
So
yeah.
it takes care of a lot of stuff too, man. But yeah, it's just some of it just feels super forced, and yeah, I'm just not into a lot of it.
Yeah, it's refreshing for you to see somebody like you that could, if you wanted to, you could be a lot bigger probably than you are now in terms of being a DJ and notoriety, but you choose to not go down that path.
I'm not anti-remix. Like, if you know my history, like SoundCloud days and stuff, like I'm heavy into remixing.
Yeah,
it's a big part of house music culture.
You got that Kendrick,
the
John,
loyalty.
yeah, loyalty.
I
that went crazy.
Drop that because it's like when I dropped that, it was like, it was, it did well on SoundCloud. It's just a free track, but it's like now that he's, people are finally giving him the respect he deserves, I should like, hey, get this loyalty flip. You know what I mean? It'll probably go off.
It would.
But it's I'm very into remix culture. But yeah, some of the edits where it's just these forced blends, I'm just like,
yeah.
I love remixes, but some of the edits, I'm just like, man, I'm not gonna play this. It's disposable.
Yeah, well, I say that because I feel like a lot of people, it's kind of a recurring theme we're talking about, but a lot of people, I feel like in your position would sell out and take the road of like, I'm just gonna like do this for X, Y, and Z when it's not really like, them.
It goes back to 9 to 5, and I just also feel like it's disrespectful to people that came before me. I'm very passionate about Black music, and there's emotion, there's pain, there's struggle, and I can't disrespect the music just because it's to put bread on the table or whatever. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah,
I feel like playing with music, bro, that's like a spiritual energy, and you can't just be doing whatever with it. To me. That's me personally.
Yeah,
and that's not to say there's not music that has its time and a place for just getting stupid in the club or whatever, but I just feel in terms of me doing something just for bread or just because it's more lucrative, it just wouldn't sit right with me internally.
Yeah,
I'd rather keep my 9 to 5 and create something that I'm passionate about or that I truly believe in, that I feel good about.
Yeah,
I could switch up, but I'm just like, nah, I'm good. I gotta live with that.
Mm-hmm.
And some people are okay living with that. And I say this again, if that's how you got to put food on the table, I get it. Because at the end of the day, it's just music. It's not like, you're not hurting anybody. But for me, it's just, it's deeper than that for me.
Yeah.
And it's not deep. It's not that deep to some people, but it is to me, though.
It's your values, right?
Yeah.
Holding true to those.
Yeah, man. I can't just be putting out anything or just playing something just because everybody else is playing it. I've done that already. Mm-hmm. Mid 2000s, I was in the LA clubs and playing top 40 stuff, and I just felt like mindless.
Yeah.
Like I
is it soul sucking in some ways?
Very. Just having a promoter tell you, oh, don't play this at this time or whatever, or oh, hey, let this guy play that track. I've had people like, oh, well, so and so wants to play that track, and I'm just like, bro, like I don't really want to hear all this, like these stupid like rules or whatever. It's just kind of lame. No, don't get me wrong. There is a certain time and a place where you should be playing the warm up tracks, and I'm not talking about that. But I've literally had like promoters tell me not to play a specific track because they were also on the lineup and they wanted to play it, and I'm just like, bro, like, it's corny stuff. Or just having a promoter, that's not tapped in with the music. They just own the club or the venue or whatever. That's your boss. You got to listen to what they're saying. You know what I mean? It's just like, I'm not trying to listen to you, bro. Like, I appreciate that. I have a small core audience that trusts me with the sound, and they come to hear my ear and what I have for them. And that's dope. I like that, and that's why I still get nervous every gig I have or prep.
Really?
Wise. Oh yeah, bro. Like, oh man, like ask any of my close people around me, bro. Like I'm like a nervous, like not a nervous wreck, but like, man, the day before a show or whatever, while I'm prepping for myself, like, don't bother me.
Where does that come from? You think?
Care.
Oh, okay.
I care. Like, damn, is this gonna go? Is this gonna blend well with this? Is this gonna blend? And usually, once I play like the first 3 tracks or whatever, I'm cool. But it's
you get the jitters out.
Yeah. But that's never. I don't think that's ever going away, and it's because you care.
And would you want that to go away even?
Nah, it's kind of like not the thrill of it or the adrenaline of it, but I guess that's what it is. It's like I like that feeling of like, yo, even just you know, right when it's like 10 minutes, like if like 15 minutes before my set and I'm going right to go on after the previous DJ, I'm just like sitting there just like, all right, bro, about to do some stretches, whatever, get my mind right, lock in, you know, like it's game time.
Yeah.
You know, I take it serious, you know, and I just don't, I never want to be, as much as, you know, people say like, oh, I don't care what anybody else thinks, like we all do. And there might just be different people that you care what they think. And I do care about what like my OGs think, or I do care about what other people that are into the craft think. I never want them to be like, damn, dog, like what happened to Jared? That fool is sold out, or that fool is on some sucker shit now. Like I never want to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's not.
Because that's your character.
Yeah.
At the end of the
bro,
day.
like I don't ever want somebody to be like, yo, like damn, he used to bring it, but he don't care no more. Like nah, that's more important to me than you know a lot of things.
Is that a little bit of competition in your with yourself, or just in
competition with myself and everybody else too, bro?
Okay.
Yeah, like, and I think that's what's missing is like the friendly competition, like the sound clash aspect of the DJing is like that. Sometimes, bro, that positive vibes only, don't be a hater stuff. Like, it if it goes too far. And it doesn't, we need like checks and balances, you know, like it should, like, I feel like for most DJs, bro, when you go step in the club, like you should be like, yo, I'm about to let people know what's up. Like maybe that's from my hip hop background, but I feel like that should be like in the DNA.
Yeah.
And nothing personal with you, but it's just like when you're in the room with like, that was so dope. In 2019, I got to go to Playlist Retreat where DJ Jazzy Jeff like flies out, like, you know, it's like an invitation only, flies you out to his house, and you're just there with all these like, just like, bro, just crazy, just inspirational people. And when you're there, it's like, nah, like I'm trying to let people know that I'm about this too. You know what I mean? Just because everybody here respects the craft, I'm about to let y'all know that I respect the craft. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to let you know that I'm about this just as much as you are. And it's more like just a respect thing for each other. Like, okay, I see you, you nice with it. You know what I mean? Like, dope.
Because the respect is earned.
It's respect
should be earned.
But it's at that level, it's also mutual. It's like, yo, you nice with the sword too. I respect you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's just like it's kind of like two NBA players that respect each other, but they're opponents, you know, on the court. But it's like, yo, you're about it, and I respect that. You know what I mean? And that's dope. I feel like that aspect of the culture needs to stay in there too. You know, just like Kendrick, bringing up Kendrick again, he's talking about, yo, it's like rapping is a sport to him. You know, it's like it's a sport.
And it's cool that he's kind of making that is making it a thing again.
He's got everybody rapping again. Let's be real. He's got people flowing. He's got people rapping,
calling people out.
He's got people rapping again. Like other people are like, oh, we got to step it up. Like, and for him to do that at that level it's like 1 in a million, because a lot of times the number, I mean, let's be honest, bro, like hip hop has changed so much, where it's like the people that are in the limelight maybe are not that nice, you know, with the craft.
Yeah.
But you got somebody that's about it at the #1 spot, straight up. And I know people are gonna be in the comments, I don't care what you say. He's at the top, bro.
He is at the top, yeah.
At the top. Nobody wants to smoke with him at all.
And he's solidified that in
numerous times.
Yeah.
Numerous times. And people that have been knowing. Straight up. But just going back to it, it's about that sport aspect. It's like, nah, I'm letting you know, like, I'm the nicest one. It's with rappers, it's like known, like, okay, yeah, I can say I'm nice at this, you know, and it's kind of like the competition is expected. But I feel like DJs that don't come from a DJ background, or maybe don't even understand like Jamaican like sound clash culture, like that competition aspect is nice. Like even if you're not a technical DJ, but just even the aspect of like, yo, like I'm a better selector than you, like that competition like breeds sharpening of swords. You know, I feel like that's important,
because you can almost bounce off one another, or it elevates
yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not to put each other down, but it's like when I see somebody really dope, I'm like, yo, I gotta step it up.
Yeah,
like that skateboarding, like, and I'll say this, man, like, you look at skateboarding on like Instagram these days, if you follow people and just look at how skateboarding has progressed. And I highly believe that a lot of that has come from what you have a kid that, oh, I see what that kid is able to do with the skateboard. Let me see if I can add something to it. You know, and it just levels up. Bro, you look at what they're doing now. When Tony Hawk Pro Skater first came out, people are doing that shit in real life now.
Yeah,
Like straight
it's
up.
true.
We were like, oh, that's some video game only stuff, and you're just like, what? And it could be like some 9-year-old kid. So that competition of that friendly competition of elevating the craft is important in like all walks of life. I feel like
That's true.
I feel like,
yeah,
you know.
because it's taking it to a place that is almost unimaginable.
Yeah, but there's no limits to it. Like we every time we think there's a limit, like somebody can, you know, inch it further and further up.
Yeah, I mean, you even look at like basketball, like how athletic
The
dudes
game-
are today,
how the game has
and you look
changed.
at like the 50s and 60s.
Yeah, you
like
look at how the game has changed. The game has changed, bro. Like same thing with cycling too. Like is the game has changed from this current era of I'm into like road cycling and stuff like that.
Yeah.
The current era, just because the data that they have, the science they understand, it's changed from 15 years ago, 10 years ago. So it's like, and 20 years from now, it's gonna elevate more. You know what I mean? So it's that constant elevation is there.
yeah, and things are gonna get even crazier with like the introduction of AI and shit, and how that's gonna change
Ooh,
everything, which is a whole nother topic.
Yeah, that's a whole other topic, bro. Like AI is dope. Like I feel like AI is cool for mundane tasks,
Yeah,
like stuff that's like just stuff you don't want to do. Like you want AI to do your taxes or whatever, then cool. But I don't really want to hear like an AI album, honestly.
it's already.
Because to me, it's kind of like the beauty with music is knowing that a human made it.
Yep.
So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I can appreciate some AI stuff and be like, oh, that's dope. But it's not as dope to me as if I know that a human brain, a human heart made it.
Yeah,
It's just different to me.
there's no soul in it if
Yeah. To
if
me,
AI
I can
made it.
appreciate that it's dope. But to me, it's not as dope as if a human made it. Just that's how I feel about it.
Yeah, it's fair.
You know, I use ChatGPT at work all the time for stuff.
Me
You know, who doesn't? You know what I mean?
Hopefully your students don't use it.
Bro, they're on it.
Probably
They
use
are
that
on it. They have it blocked on their Chromebooks at school, but they can easily go home and use it on their own devices.
For sure.
And it was a trip like a couple years ago. I had some students that really good period, and I made a lot of connections in there. And I had a group of boys working on a science project together, and they were like, "Yo, Mr. Jackson, you know ChatGPT?" And I was like, "Yeah, I use it." And they're like, "Yo, can we use ChatGPT for this section if we show you that we know how to use it and put it in our own words?" And at first I was like mixed.
Interesting.
I was like, no, I don't know, you know, because you know, it's like all the other teachers were like super anti, but I was like, all right, look, can I get your word that, you know, say if there's like 10 sections of the science project that they got to do, all these other 9 got to be purely you. Can I trust you guys that you can do that just for this section? And they were like, yo, you have our word. And like I could, when you read students' work after a while, you can figure out what's, you know, so they kept everything else legit. And that one section, they showed me how they were able to use like chat on it, but also flip it into their own word. And I was like, why withhold them from that? Because in 20 years,
They're gonna need to
bro,
use
what?
it.
Like,
yeah,
like, so the fact that they showed me they could do both, that's fire.
that's true. Why would you hold them back?
Why
from
would you
it?
hold them back? Show me that you can do it the old school way, but also show me that you can use the new stuff. Fire.
Yeah.
Why not?
That's true.
You know,
Mhm.
I'm gonna have a bunch of kids seeing this. I know they're gonna watch this and be like, "Yo, we're using ChatGPT." Like, oh, no. They're gonna try to finesse me on that for sure.
Oh yeah.
But it's important to share, though. You know,
Especially as a futurist, and you understand where it's gonna lead, the generation to. It's important that
changing, it's changing.
they get exposed to
You
it.
might as well show them where it's coming from, so that way they can appropriately use the tools to see where it's going.
Yeah, because prompting is a whole thing in itself. You
Yeah.
know, you gotta know how to prompt.
Yeah, it's like and that goes back in the you know, technology, just being a futurist. It's like when I do have students who show me like they have an interest in DJing at school, you know, I'll say, hey, well, I use turntables, and I know you may not like turntables, but you might try to learn some of the basic skills on it, because if you learn the basic skills on turntables here, that'll transfer over into your controller or CDJ, and some of them are into it. You know what I mean? It's been interesting to have like certain kids, you know, hey, Mr. Jackson, I got records, and I'm like, word, you know, and they'll get like new stuff releases. Like I have a girl in my class, and she'll show me that, oh, I got this Kendrick on vinyl, and she's 12 years old, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And it's dope, you know. And I'm like, oh, that's fire. And it's like, I'm like, what do you like about this? Like, why do you as a 12-year-old, you like this? But I'm like, do you have Spotify too? She's like, yeah, I got Spotify, of course. She's like, but I just like, it's like, it's tangible. I can hold it. So it's like,
That's
dope,
crazy
you
that
know?
somebody like that's 12.
Bro,
like that.
Adults don't give kids enough credit for how like, I guess like emotionally available they are, and also how forward thinking they are.
Yeah.
Kind of write them off as just being the 12 or 13-year-olds, but like some of them are thinking at a way higher level than a 12 or 13 than you would expect a 12 or 13-year-old, because they're exposed to so much stuff with the internet.
Right.
I mean, they're just aware of a lot of things too.
That's got to be a good feeling of hope for the future for you. You know what I mean? To come across people like that or kids like that.
Yeah, it's dope. Well, a lot of it has to do with their, a lot of it comes down to parenting, bro. That's a huge thing.
Oh yeah.
The parenting.
I'm sure you see that.
Oh, I see the good and the bad of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, usually when kids show me stuff, I'm like, who put you on this? Like, oh, older brother or parents or whatever. And then I have to check myself too, because I have a lot of students where I'm older than their parents.
Yeah,
so it's just
true.
like their parents may be 35 or something, and I'm like, oh yeah, you're yeah, of course, your parents know what's up.
They're probably pretty hip. You're on the cover of Serato, aren't you? When I open the software, I see you every time.
Yeah. That was a funny joke. Yeah, that's me on there. I was at a selection event from like 2018, 2019, and yeah, I'm on the install software. And it's funny. So I always used to joke around. I'd be like, all you DJs that don't like me, even if you got to see me every time.
Every single time. That's crazy. They chose that.
Yeah,
the
the Serato, man. Shout out to Serato, man. Especially all the guys over there, Sonny James, Matt, everybody, bro. They're just good people. There's more people than that over there, but yeah, they just taken care of me for years.
Yeah.
I had Serato since, I sound so old, bro. I've had Serato since like 2005, 2006.
Man.
My dad had gifted me. Shout out to my dad, man. He's always been supportive of like hip hop stuff or whatever. He had brought home Final Scratch. I got Final Scratch for Christmas one year. Final Scratch was like a competitor to Serato, and I knew at the time, I was like, nah, the DJs that I'm following and I'm really looking up to, they're all on Serato. I was like, Dad, like, can we return this? And he's like, yeah, because he just didn't know any better. He's like, yeah. So he called the guy up. He's like, yo, can we exchange this for Serato? I think I was like, yeah. So I've just been on Serato ever since, man.
Wow.
So for years. That's why, sometimes when I'll do like the back-to-back stuff with Joe for like Untitled, I'll play on USB sticks because it's easier. I know how to use them. It just makes transition easier. But lately on events, like when I even have to play on CDJs, I just go HID mode. I love Serato. I could fly through it, bro. Like record box, man. I love Pioneer products.
Yeah.
The software is archaic, bro. I feel like when I have to manage my stuff in record box, I feel like I'm using like a Microsoft product from like 1998. Bro.
Yeah, ancient.
It's archaic, bro. I'm good off of it. I know some people love it, and that's cool, but I can't stand it.
What do you produce on?
Ableton
or
change it. Mainly Ableton, but I have a lot of hardware too, bro. So like, I have an SB1200 drum machine that I start a lot of ideas in. It's an old classic drum machine, still takes floppy disk. But I took the floppy disk out and put like a USB emulator in there. So the machine thinks it's a floppy disk, but it's actually, you put a USB stick in it. There's like a lot of retrofit stuff. Akai S950 samplers. And I'm giving away a lot of like, I'm gonna give away a lot of like tricks. People ask like, yo, how you get your drums like that? And it's because I will send sounds out of Ableton, like waves or whatever that I have, drum kits that I've accumulated or whatever, and I'll get the crunch in my hardware, and then put it right back into Ableton, just to get that, like, to me, like the stuff, how I like stuff to sound.
Yeah.
So I use Ableton a lot. Mainly Ableton's like my main sequencer, but yeah.
So you have a very analog process.
It's hybrid. It's always been hybrid. Always been hybrid. Shout out to my boy Justin Myrax, man. He's if he's watching this, Ultra West, man. We've been friends since like 2006. We debate. He's a tech geek too.
Okay.
And he's an amazing producer, hip hop cat. Done a lot of stuff behind the scenes, and been a big force at a lot of companies behind the scenes for product development and things like that too. So
wow,
shout out to him. Like, we have these discussions on products and things like that all the time. Like, a lot of times we discuss music a lot, but we also discuss gear a lot. Like, we're into like discussing the technical aspects of gear and like why we don't like this or whatever. So yeah, it's a hybrid approach, definitely. I use both.
Yeah.
I have two Akai S950 rack mount samplers, and those are like 12-bit, sound good, real dope. One of them is my pops.
Oh.
So my dad was the original owner of it.
Kept it.
He kept it. Yeah, he kept it and handed it down to me.
Fire.
He handed it down to me after I had bought my own. So I had bought my own in college. on my own. And then later he's like, I'm done with it. He doesn't, he's like, here, you want this? And I'm like, yeah, I'll keep it, So I've got his original one. So that's dope to have.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple, synths, got hardware synths. I love bass lines, bro. So I love bass lines. And I think, if there's anybody who, I'm not the greatest producer, but my bass lines are on point.
One thing is gonna be on point.
I love that's my favorite part of the beat to construct is the bass line. So I got like a Novation bass station. I have like the Behringer Model D. I've got 2 Junos, old Junos. I got an Alpha Juno. Just I like it's fun playing with the hardware too, bro. Like, the software is really convenient, like VSTs and plugins, but there's just a different my brain thinks differently sometimes when I start a beat on like I have 2 Akai MPCs. Sometimes I start a beat on there and get the basic structure down and then move it to Ableton like right away. But it's just starting it on this little drum machine where you don't have a screen and all this type of stuff. And here I go sound like a dinosaur. But I really do feel like sometimes if I'm stuck and I can't think of anything in Ableton, sometimes I'll hop on an old drum machine because of the limitations that it has. It forces you to think in different ways. And then I'm just like, oh shit, inspiration's flying. And then once I get like a little groove started on there, I just dump everything into Ableton real quick and keep going there.
Interesting.
But I use like the old hardware to like kind of spearhead the inspiration sometimes.
Okay.
But I'll be honest, like I don't create entire things on the hardware anymore. It's a pain in the ass.
Really?
Yeah, it's a pain in the ass sometimes. Some things are just way more streamlined and faster in Ableton, and I just embrace it with that, So
Yeah. Just fill it out.
yeah,
on
I
your
get
record.
the basic ideas down on the hardware sometimes, and then move it to the software.
That's interesting.
yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for sharing.
It's pretty common technique. Even back in like the 80s, 90s, you would have cats that were like sequencing like the sounds, but all the sounds would be in hardware, but what was controlling the notes playing was a computer. You know what I mean? So the people using old Ataris, computers, and things like that to control their keyboards and synths and stuff like that. So that's pretty much what I'm doing. It's been around forever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sharing the codes.
Yeah. I mean, those
appreciate
are I don't really feel like that's necessarily code. I feel like a lot of that stuff is common knowledge with the internet these days.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't mind sharing stuff like that. But like some people are like, yo, send me a pack of your drums. I'm like, nah. I'll trade drum with the homies, but like I'm just not really interested in like giving up like a whole folder
Yeah.
my drums that I've like dug for or created, you know what I mean? Because it's just like that's my paint.
That's
why you
true.
want to sound like me anyway? But
Yeah.
I get it, because I have a lot of homies. Don't disrespect. I have a lot of homies who put food on the table selling drum kits, and that's fire. And I use a lot of those drum kits too. But I'm just saying, I don't want to share mine.
That's fair.
So here I go with the hypocrisy again. Sometimes I'm just like, nah.
The secret sauce.
Yeah.
Why
Like,
would you give it up?
it's I don't want to copy what other folks are doing exactly. I could seek inspiration for something, but I don't want to like sound exactly the same.
Yeah.
And then those things that you do copy somebody, like I'm not trying to put that out. You know what I mean? You might copy a sound just to learn how to do it or whatever, but then make it your own in some way. I feel like that's important.
Okay. Thanks for sharing the creative process. though. It's good to hear.
It doesn't, man. That could be my creative process this week, bro, and then like it might switch on another week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
My voice notes on my phone is like probably one of the biggest tools that I use.
So when you have an idea, you voice
like
it
for
memo.
like a chord progression or a bass line. I could be like, bro, I'll record it like no matter where I'm at, and then sometimes I'll go home and then try to do it. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But I have like, bro, so many voice notes that turned into tracks and things.
Wow.
Like that. Yeah.
Fire.
Yeah, because you have that technology at your fingertips. You can just record an idea right there. So then, because I will say that it's hard for me to say, okay, today I'm gonna make beats.
Yeah.
Whenever I do that, it's trash, bro. I could be cooking something or sitting or just out in the garage, cleaning up the garage, and I'll get an idea, stop everything that I'm doing, and then I go in and I'm like, oh, it's fire. So it just comes at me in different ways.
You don't
But
set
if
time aside.
Nah, like I can't be like, oh, today at 7 a.m. I'm making beats.
Yeah.
Like you can do that, I feel, for like practice and repetition, but I never usually come up with keepers that way. My keepers always come to me when I'm just messing around, or I might leave my bedroom and then I pass by the door of my studio room and let me just noodle real quick. But it wasn't a plan. It's just like, oh, let me just mess around for 15 minutes, walk away, make something to eat, come back for another 15 minutes, and now I got something. It's never like this rigid thing,
Okay.
Yeah, I know a lot of people that can work like that, but that's not how my brain works. It's just like an off the cuff thing.
Is it that must be a good feeling when you do get that spark out of nowhere, you know what I mean?
It's nothing like it. Nothing like it. And then actually, once I've got like, the chord progression, and again, going back to it, like the bass line.
Yeah. What dictates what makes it out versus what doesn't, where you're just like, nah, this is gonna
if I feel it's dope. Right now.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's I do feel like sometimes I should have someone that just forces me to put stuff out though, because there's some stuff that I don't feel is that dope, and then like it's like somebody else, a bunch of people think it's amazing. I'm like, oh, okay. Like a lot of the stuff that, and I don't put out that much stuff like that, like Andres, Joe, they're always on me because I'll post stuff, little snippets on my story or whatever, and they're like, bro, put this out, and I'm just like, nah, it's just, or labels, you like a lot of house labels, like, yo, we'll put that out, and I'm just like, nah, just for fun, just sketching. That's another thing too. Like you could, like a lot of them are just like my sketches. Like if an artist that's into sketching, you just sketch all the time, and it might be fire to you, but they're like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
It's good for you to be able to control that,
Yeah,
what code
yeah. A lot of the stuff, bro, by the time I've put something out, that's probably on my hard drive for like a year or two.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't even put music out hardly anymore. I want to though. This year, I want to get back into putting some stuff out, but it's got to be on vinyl too.
Yeah, you mentioned that to me before, that one of your goals this year is to kind of come out of your shell more often and pop out a little bit more.
A little bit more, just Andres is on me about that all the time too. Just sharing my gifts and just, also reminding myself of those people who like message me or DM me and be like, yo, like, yeah, like that music, like your song got me through like a bad day or whatever, like that. So putting it out there for that reason too, even if maybe I don't like it, I just struggle with the content.
Yeah.
Struggle with content, bro. Like I just like to show up and DJ, bro. I don't want to make this. I don't know. I gotta find it. I mean, I guess I have found a way to do it. I need to lock in with it more. But it's just the authenticity. Like,
yeah,
I want to ruffle some feathers again, but like I'm not gonna feel myself fake waking up in the morning. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If I set up my tripod, I'm like, open the blinds.
Scene 2.
Oh, you know what I mean? Like I'm not doing that, bro. So it's gotta be content where I'm actually like working in the studio or something like that, or DJing or something like that.
So what maybe content that has authenticity attached to it still is.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Like it's gotta be like, just maybe, if I just filming what I would, me personally, I'm never gonna take DJ equipment to some like to like a I don't know, like I feel like these days it's like, oh, take your DJ equipment on the carnival ride.
On a carnival?
film like act like you're DJing while you're on like a Ferris wheel, and that's cool.
Oh yeah.
I ain't doing that.
With a crazy like backdrop on it.
Yeah, I'm just like, bro, like, I'm not doing all that, bro. Like that's not where I create at. I create music at the crib, bro.
Yeah.
So, like that's where it happens.
Uh-huh.
Like I'm not at the top of the Eiffel Tower with my turntables, bro. There's a lot of theatrical stuff that goes on today with content, and I'm just like,
cool off that.
I'm cool off of it, bro. I can't do it.
Yeah.
Do it.
Well, shout out to you for staying true to yourself. Like I was keep saying throughout this episode, it's refreshing, to see somebody that's staying true and not selling out for this digital age, whether it's like for vanity metrics or just, keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak.
Yeah, because man, socials, man, I'll be lying if I said that being on socials too long like doesn't mess with me, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel a lot of people don't have that regulator to be like, let me get off this.
Yeah.
Deactivate my account sometimes, bro.
Really?
Like, yeah, but then they'll be like, hey, bro, come on, we got shows coming up. You can't do that. And I'm like, you're right. But sometimes I don't even want to be found on socials. Like I feel like it's I don't even want to, like, 'cause I just feel like, nah, it's too much access. So I leave it up now, but there's a lot of times when I just don't have IG on my phone,
Yeah.
or I'll use it on,
Just delete the app.
I'll delete the app, and I'll use it on like on my, I'll use it in like Safari on like my MacBook. So I can still pop up. Because the downside of that is so many people, you know, their music announcements are on IG. So as a DJ, I got to know what's coming out or whatever, right? And, you know,
That's
peers
true.
and producers who are dropping new tracks, like, you figure it out on IG.
That's true.
You know, so I can't be off of it for too long. But yeah, there's many times where I just like, nah, I'll be off of it.
Damn.
It feels so much better when I'm not on it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, tremendously. Like, if I'm not on socials, I feel 10 times better, like way better. Because it's just, you know, it's we're all human, and it's just seeing, you're just not supposed to see what everybody else is doing all this. It's not natural.
Yeah.
It's not natural. Yeah.
It's not. And then you meet up with somebody and it's just like, I already know, like, what do I talk about?
Yeah,
Really? I already
that's
know
why-
everything going on.
That's why you'll never see like this type of aura that like Michael Jackson had. You know, Michael Jackson had people fainting and stuff, bro. Because now it's like you wake up and your favorite artist or whatever, they put their whole day on the gram for you, so you constantly see them. So I feel like that the magic is never going to be the same as what it was back in the day before socials, because we're just always just smacked with people's lives in your face all the time, bro.
Yeah, it's not as special to go see somebody anymore because you already seen them 10 times.
Yeah, and I get it. Like, some people, you know, when there's people out there, you know, you see like they'll have this many followers, but then they're following 0. Some people will be like, oh man, that's kind of pretentious. Well, I see both. So I'm like, I get it, because maybe that's them taking care of their mental health, where they're just like, hey, I have this account and I post to let you know where I'm at, but I don't want to see what nobody else is doing.
Yeah.
I can see both ways, you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't do that personally. I follow maybe too many people because of all my hobbies, you know? So it's like, it's I follow cycling content, you know, hip hop content, you know, dance music, all this different
That's dope. You never know what's going to pop up.
Yeah. So it's just some random ad. It's like, bro, I didn't ask to see this, you know?
Yeah. The thing is interesting. That's something that Joe talked about as well. Is just like how he has all the notifications on his socials turned off. So that gives him like the power to like go on it when he wants to versus a notification
when
coming.
I see people that have the notifications, I'm like, yo, that's crazy.
It's too much. Yeah, for the
bro.
mind.
That's way too much.
Yeah.
Especially at his level, like when you have that many people trying to contact you or whatever. Like I'm in terms of the numbers, like I'm nobody compared to somebody like that, and I get overwhelmed. Like sometimes I apologize to you, like, bro, I'm sorry. Like the messages like pile up, because sometimes I'll look at it and I'm just like, bro, I don't feel like answering these 12 messages. Like,
It's a whole job of its own.
it's a whole job of its own, man. Like it just gets overwhelming. And sometimes I'm just like, nah, you know.
And it's almost like a digital etiquette, you know, these days you got to have sometimes, like, knowing that it's okay for things like that. Like if somebody, I feel like some people get a little bit like jaded when they don't get like somebody's energy.
They get butthurt, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
They get butthurt.
But it's like, what do you expect? You know, there's so much.
Like I'll scroll real quick and check my notifications. I can see somebody follow me, and I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. And then like a few days later, it pops up again, or like they followed you again, like recently. It's like they're trying to get
trying to get your attention.
Okay, cool. Like, okay, I see you. Like, I'm just not on IG right now. Don't take offense. I just popped up a little. I'm just checking something out real quick, or I might go up there. I might go on IG to like look up like a food recipe. I got my little food folder, you know, where it's save food. Like somebody uploaded a little quick reel on making something, and I'll save that to my little food folder or whatever. So,
they do. I see some fire recipes.
Yeah, and that's the problem with socials though, is because I came from the message board era, bro, and I still like message boards. Like I love Reddit. I love message boards. I like where there's a forum where it's dedicated to one thing, and I feel like Instagram and Twitter it's the general board of a message board. Where like there's like a bass guitar message board called talkbass.com, and they have like a general board where anything goes there. And I feel like that's what IG is, because depending on what you follow, if you follow a bunch of different stuff, people just post whatever. But it's gotten worse since they have advertisements that are kind of geared to like what they think you'd be into. You know what I mean? As you got stuff popping on your feed that you didn't even ask to see. It's just like, bro, I don't want to see this. And it's just like 1 minute you got, you got DJ content, then somebody's posting their dog, and then somebody's posting their car, and then someone's posting some new a wedding announcement, or is it? It's just so much. It's just a lot. It's too much.
And nothing's
sometimes.
chronological. It's all algorithm.
You can actually you can switch it at the top to
Oh, you can now?
Yeah, no,
Oh, damn.
it's a feature at the top in the top right corner. You change it to following, and it puts it in chronological.
Oh, so it's kind of like a For You page versus a your following.
No. It's not like an explore page. It's it's just basically it says following, which is weird because you're following the stuff that comes up in your feed, and those are the people you follow anyway. But when you select the following, it puts it in chronological.
Oh, bet. Okay.
Charlie, I'll show you after.
I'm gonna have to check.
It makes a big difference.
Back to the old days.
Yeah, to make it just chronological, so you can do it. But yeah, it's just it definitely drains me. I like socials, man. Like it's just I like Reddit for like audio engineering or whatever, and because people are just they're not showing you their face or anything, they're just showing you information, sharing of information and sharing the craft or whatever, and learning tips and tricks from each other. I like that. But it's very focused. True. Nobody on that forum is talking about anything except bikes, you know what I mean, or nobody on that forum is talking about anything except Olympic weightlifting, or how to make your clean and jerk, something like that. I like that.
That's true. They have nothing else.
It's nothing else but that, and it's locked in on that. And yeah, I feel like that's lost with especially like Twitter, because Twitter's the worst. Like Twitter shows you a bunch of stuff that like I don't follow this.
Yeah, it's the Wild West.
It's wild, bro. It's like, what is this? So it's just crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, socials definitely drain me, bro.
Absolutely. I can agree. I think a lot of people can, especially in today's day and age. But man, Jared, man, I think we went in for close to 2 hours, and I appreciate you dropping as much knowledge as you did. And I think there's another 2 hours we could go if we really wanted to.
Anytime, bro. I'm glad I did this because I feel more comfortable doing it. So I'm glad you kept, hitting me up to do this. So
100%.
Yeah, I don't really do stuff like this often, but it was dope. It's dope.
It's an honor, bro. Honestly, yeah.
And sometimes I still wonder. I'm like, why does this guy want me on this podcast? Like, because some of the stuff I shared to me is like, it sounds like an asshole to say, but it's like, damn, it's common sense. But it's not for everybody though.
Common sense isn't so common.
It's not. So I appreciate that you giving me that opportunity, bro. I appreciate it.
100%. Happy to, bro. Is there anything that you have coming up in the near future that you want to plug? Anything?
Nothing right now, bro. I just got back from Texas. Shout out to Texas. Crazy dance community popping off there.
Oh, really?
Of all places, yeah.
Wow.
Like underground house music is dope.
Who would have thought?
Right. So yeah, probably be back out there. I just got back from that. So right now, it just stuff pops up as it comes up, man. I don't have like a crazy set like roster lineup.
Yeah.
But there's always events. My boy Eric does a dope party called Soul Source. And that's based in LA and also like Oakland area, and that's fire. I always look forward to playing that. Just the house dance community comes out too. So yeah, man, there's those things, bro. So
okay.
Yeah.
Any new music?
Yeah, bro. I'm telling people I am putting out some music this year, and just I'm gonna have some stuff cut on some dub plates. Just I want to release some physical stuff. Like I don't really get inspired to just only release music digitally. And this is to all the labels out there that hit me up. They're like, yo, man, we love your house and garage stuff. We want to put it out. Like, man, if it's digital only, bro, like, don't bother me. I can put it up on DistroKid myself, or put it up on Spotify or Apple myself. Like,
What do you need? What do you need?
Like, why would I give you 50% when like you're just gonna post it on Instagram? That's your marketing.
That's true.
Talking ish again, but
nah.
that's what it'd be like. Like, hit me up if you're trying to press some vinyl, bro. Like, if there's something bigger than this, you know what I mean? But I'll just we'll upload your track on Spotify, bro. I could do that by myself. Like,
yeah, it's true.
You want 50% to click a button, bro? Get out of here.
They attach their name to it.
Yeah. Also, too, and before we close out, that's another thing too, man. It's like who I release music with is like important too, because I get like a lot of labels and people just hit you up on Instagram like, yo, we want to put your music on. I'm like, bro, I don't know who you are. We've never broke bread before. I don't know what you stand on. Like,
yeah,
I'm giving you my stuff to put your name on it, and like, nah, like, so I can't really do that. Like a few years ago, I put some music out with my boy High Rise. He's out in the UK, and I mess with him.
Fire.
We know each other. Yeah, we mess with each other. Like I know him. We talk. We communicate, and we formed a friendship. That's what I like. I can't just I'm just putting this music out just cause like I can do that myself.
Yeah.
And I tell a lot of younger cats too, like, man, don't just be so in a rush to just give your music to anybody. That's your heart and that's your soul. Like, they'll just give it to anybody, you know, especially if all they're going to do is upload a square on Instagram and be like, oh, there's your promo. Like, bro, you can do that yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, unless they have some crazy reach that you don't. But most of the time, the reach is like I got more reach than you. Like, like that sounds like some asshole stuff to say, but it's like, why would I put my music out? I don't know you.
Yeah.
And there's no reach benefit. What am I doing? You know?
It almost getting treated like a product. Or
Yeah, no, straight up.
No,
you know, and they just want to put their little, you know, logo on it or whatever and say that, you know, have it be a part of it. It's like, man, I don't even know you like that.
Yeah.
You know, and it goes back to just me thinking of music is like a spiritual thing to me. And it's like I'm putting the time into it, and it's something that I do outside of my 9 to 5. So like, I'm just not gonna give it to you, know, for scraps, or rather just keep it on my hard drive because I don't need the money like that.
That's the power of
the 9 to 5, bro. You
say
know,
no.
I'd rather it's the principle of it. I'd rather just keep it to myself. It'll sit on the hard drive till damn. Whenever I do leave this earth, bro, it's like it's a lot of gems on my hard drive. Whoever gets access to it,
drop it.
But I don't want people to put it out though. Like, just enjoy it for yourself. If I wanted to put it out, I would have put it out.
Yeah. You gotta write that in your will.
I'm mixed on that, like, because you see like a lot of stuff posthumously like released, and
yeah,
I'm like mixed on that because I'm like, what if that person didn't want that out?
That's true. A lot of artists that pass away.
Yeah,
got
you
their,
know, like a lot of like J Dilla beat tapes. It's like, were we supposed to hear this?
Yeah, that's true.
You know, like was or he might have given this to a few people at the time when he was shopping beats out, whatever. But what did he intend for this to get uploaded for millions of people? You know, you never know.
Yeah.
So I always think about those things.
Let them rest.
Yeah, or maybe he did, but I'm just saying I just think about these things. My mind goes in those directions where I'm like, you know.
It's true.
So yeah.
Well, we'll end on that, man. Man of principles. Is very refreshing to see, like I said. But yeah, again, appreciate you, bro. Once again, from Creative Ambiance, this is Levi and Jared Jackson checking out.
Thank you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me,
100%.
man. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll end it there, bro.